Hey everyone, welcome to another Teach and Play. I'm Mandy, also known as the Board Gaming Pinup Girl.
And I'm Michael, known as Paulum.
And today we've got a treat for you. I know a lot of people are really excited. We're going to be playing Path of Light and Shadow.
Yes.
So there's a few people on the box, so I'm going to try and remember them. Jonathan Gilmore, the creator, Nick Little, and Travis R. Chance. Did I get them?
You did.
And
And
art
Yep.
by my favorite.
I know you won't forget this.
Oh, no, I won't. Beth Sobel.
Yes.
Oh, so good. So first, let me start off by saying thank you so much for the chat. It already started before we
Yes.
even jumped in.
I said
so
good day, sir.
that gave me a good laugh. So I see, needs of the one. And we
Excellent.
have Brian's in there. Hello, hello. So thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, so let's jump right in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Path of Light and Shadow, we are going to be, it's an empire builder. We're going to be trying to rebuild our empires. And there are multiple ways to do so, and I'll try to explain all of them. But the main path that you're trying to choose in this is good or bad, or in this
Right.
case, cruel or merciful.
And I'm going to let you guess who is merciful.
And
We all know. Come on.
who is, what does that say about me?
I don't know. Sorry.
Well, we already know what we're going to do because that is the side that we like to go for. We want to show you both sides, but you don't actually need to decide right away. It's your actions that will dictate where you are on that cruel and merciful chart. But I'll explain that later. So yes, there are definitely multiple ways that you can try and increase your empire and gain followers and build structures and ultimately get points, right? You're trying to get influence for the end of the game. All right, so first off, we'll go with setup. We are playing on the two-player side of the board.
Right.
It's a double-sided board. So this side is only for 2 players. If you play on the other side, it's for 3 and 4 players, and the game does play up to 4.
Right.
You're also going to be setting up the defense towers based on the defense of each of the provinces. So on the 2-player side of the board, there are 4 realms in the game, and each realm has 2 provinces represented on this board. If we were playing on the opposite side, there would be 3 provinces for each realm. And then each province has a defense value where you would put these towers, these defense towers. So the longer sections are worth 3 defense, and the smaller one is worth 1, and these come apart. So as defenses go up and down, you'll be adding or subtracting these towers from the board. But from that shot, you can probably see the stacks, but once we do go to the overhead shot, it will be very difficult, I think, for viewers to be able to see exactly what the defense is in each, and we obviously want you to be able to play along. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to lay them down on their side, and then you'll have a better chance of being able to see what each defense is. So this isn't how you would set it up for yourself, but it is what we're going to do for our play.
All right. There's a couple questions in there for you.
Sure.
So first things first. Well, first I got to highlight Christopher. So thank you so much for watching our Teach and Plays. Christopher was watching them on To Die For Games.
Excellent.
But we also do them on the Dice Tower, as some of you may know or maybe not already know. I'm also part of the Dice Tower team. So yeah, Tom's like, come on over to Dice Tower and let's play
excellent.
them here. So that was a nice comment. So thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
the question here by Eric is this like Risk?
No. Well, you know what? There is area control.
Right.
And there is rolling dice. The dice are not your regular 6-sided dice. I'll show those in a second. But it's more than Risk. You don't just have to conquer to win. You could even potentially win with having only 1 province or even none, depending on what you're doing with your building. So I'll get into that, but there are multiple paths to victory in this, whereas Risk, it's just win it all kind of thing. You don't need to do that in this
I have
game.
memories of Risk. My brothers were horrible to me, but I digress. That's for another thing.
Okay, so yes, that's how we're going to set up the board, just so that you can see, and I just want to make sure nothing is confusing on there. That looks like it's all straightforward. So as I was saying, each province is represented with the defense value in it. So we've started with all of their defense values. So for example, Pilgrim Walk, and you can see there it is 7. So each of the long ones are 3 and 1. The highest valued ones are the 2 strongholds in Draken and Ulgimor, total of 16 in each.
Big one.
Yes. So that's how you're going to set up. Then you've got the turn tracker. So the game is played over the course of 3 years, and each year is broken down into 4 rounds, which means we play over a total of 12 rounds. And we have a little ruined column here as the turn tracker, and we've got a turn tracker down here on the board. And we also have scoring rounds at the end of each year. I'll explain that when we get to the end of the first year. Next up, you're going to be taking the tokens in your color. So we have banners for any provinces we do take over. We're going to be putting these banners down to represent that we control them. And cubes in our color. The cubes are going to be used for your player board. Actually, I can show mine right now. So there is a player board. All player boards are the same. There is no unique factions. And this will represent all the various buildings that you can build within each realm. So for example, the Sigilborn realm, there are 4 buildings that I can build. And it shows the build costs of each building in the insert. You must build level 1 before you can build level 2. So if I do build that level 1 building, that is the Sigilborn Priory, I would move the cube down to represent that being built, and then I get the corresponding ability for it. I'll go into what the abilities are as we're building them. And I'll also go into how we build them later as well.
Yes.
So you grab your player board, you grab 5 of those cubes to go into each of the 5 areas you can build. Another cube will be going onto the cruel and merciful track at the bottom of the board, and then another one will go on to 5 influence on the scoring track. You start at 5 because there are ways you can lose or use influence in the game. So you get 5 free to start.
I see needs of the 1. There are dice here. That's never a good sign for Mandi. Remember the phantom rolling die.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so those who have watched our Teach and Plays will know Dice and I, we're not friends. So this should be entertaining for all of you.
Yeah. Okay, next up is, let's see here, upgrade decks. So there are, as you can see, multiple decks of cards around the board. Everything on the bottom of the board here are the upgrade decks. So whenever you promote any of your followers, these are the cards that they promote to. I'll explain that further when we get to doing those actions. But these decks are all face up because all you're doing is when you promote a card, you search through the deck and find the one that you promote to. And there are skill trees that you can promote along as well within each of the 4 factions. Plus the Numerai, which is sort of a 5th, almost a wild faction. They don't belong to any one realm. You can find Numerai in all of the 4 factions and upgrade them, and when you do, that's from this face down deck. So they get randomized. Nothing else of these do. Then you have the 4 decks along the sides that represent the 4 different realms, and they represent the people that you find within the provinces when you're in them. So if I'm in Pilgrim Walk, that belongs to the Hallowed Vale realm. I can recruit people from that realm, and they would come off of that deck and go into mine. So there is a deck building aspect to this. Those get shuffled and placed, and I didn't shuffle this one yet because I'm going to show some of the followers. So to give an idea.
So Amanda, dice towers, yeah, we're not friends either. I throw the dice down there and they go flying all over the place. It's just not. Dice, anything dice related, not so good.
Given the space, I do have a nice dice tower that I like to use. We did use it for Apocrypha, but yeah, we need some good space here.
Exactly.
So here's an example of the Riverway Sovereignty. 3 of the different factions that are in there. And you can tell each faction based on colors. So this top one is black, representing the Hordes of Zerd. This one is blue, representing the Halax Guild Lords. And then the purple are the ones I was saying, the Numerai Wanderers. They don't belong to any one particular faction. So each of these decks have 2 of the factions in them. And it does show them on the board. They have 2 factions plus some Numerai Wanderers shuffled in as well.
I'm going to interrupt. Is that
Sure.
Kenny Rodriguez in the chat? Like Kenny Dice Tower Kenny? It is hello. Well, even if it's not, hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. Things are great. We're getting started. And Chris, this game is relatively new. I know it was on Kickstarter. And I think people started receiving their games not too long ago.
Yeah.
So please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But it's gorgeous. And the art, like I said, is done by Beth Sobel, who does a fantastic job.
Yep. So the other thing I'm going to point out is at the bottom of the card, it shows you, I know it's a little difficult to read there because it is rather small print, but it does say realm deck and the realm it belongs to, in this case, Riverway Sovereignty. So you will have all of these decks separated when you get the game. Do not shuffle them together because you'll end up having to separate them all again. So whenever you do have to put a card back to its deck, all you have to do is look at the bottom and it'll say realm deck Riverway Sovereignty or realm deck Hallowed Vale. Or it'll say upgrade deck in the case of these ones, and then you can just put them back into the corresponding deck.
So just to jump in quickly, the player count for the game, I believe it's 2 to 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And when did it come out? I know it was on Kickstarter last year. Backers, I believe, just started receiving it around beginning of January, if I'm not mistaken, around that time frame. I know it's hard to get right now. It's sold out a lot of stores, but I know some stores are taking names for when it does come in. Oh, and, sorry, all these surprises. It's so exciting. So, hello, Jonathan. So, John Gilmore is in the chat. So, if you have questions.
Excellent. Hello.
Yeah, so welcome. I feel like we're seeing a lot of each other. Not that I mind. So, thank you for joining us. So, if anybody has questions pertaining to the game itself, potential other things coming up, Jonathan is the person you'd like to speak to, and he's joining us in the chat. Sorry there.
Excellent. No problem. No problem. Okay, next up, you're going to have ally cards. And we've got them across the top of the board. So there is a deck of ally cards. You're going to shuffle those, and then you're going to put out the number of players plus 1 worth of allies. So in the case of a 2-player game, we have 3 ally cards. And these allies can be earned throughout the game by accomplishing various tasks. So, for example, and I'll just read the task right now. I won't read the benefit of them. But for example, here is the Butcher of the North. So these are the 3 that we've got. Butcher of the North. And for that ally, you need to control the Mountain Clan's empire. To control an empire, you need to have 2 provinces within that realm. So for that ally, we would have to control Ulgamore and Icewind. And you can tell not only by the symbols that are next to the name, but even the color coding. So those 2 are the mountainous regions. You know that those belong together in the same realm. So if you control both of those provinces, that's controlling the realm, and you get that ally. Now, it is an action on your turn to gain an ally, and you can only do that once on your turn. So if you fulfilled the requirements of multiple allies, you'd only be able to grab 1, and then you would have to wait until a later turn to be able to grab another one if you still meet those requirements. So the next one we have is the Magister of Guilds, and that is controlling the Riverway Sovereignty, in which case we need to control both of these 2 greener provinces. So here and here would gain us that ally. And lastly, the Village Elder, who is controlling at least 2 village provinces, which are the starting provinces, and they have a windmill symbol next to their name, and there are 4 of those. So there's 4 starting provinces. Whoever is the first to control 2 of those provinces will get that ally. So I'll show this one as well. So there's the Village Elder, and at the bottom of the card you can see it's also worth 2 influence, or 2 points at the end of the game. And they each have their own special abilities, but I'll cover those when we actually gain those allies. All right, we've got our first player token. Nice sword in the rock there. So I'm going to take first player. And we are then going to take, we have a starting deck of 7 cards. So these are your basic starting cards. You have 4 trusted followers and 3 steadfast conscripts. And at the bottom of each card, it does state that it is a starter card. You're going to have 10 total, but those are the 7 you're going to start with. And then we randomize the 6 advisors. So we've got 6 advisors. I'm going to shuffle those, and we will each take one to add to our deck. And then we'll end up picking our starting province, and we get to recruit 2 followers from that province. And that will make up our starting 10 cards. So if you would like to take one.
I'm taking a card. I'm taking a card.
Right.
I'm reading all the chats just hopping tonight.
Excellent. So that's for your starting deck.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Chatting away here. So.
Yep, no problem.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's see here. Oh, wow. Oh, yes. Before I get run over in the chat.
Yep.
The drink of the evening. What
The
are we sponsoring
the
this
themed
evening?
beverage this evening. Because we are trying to build our empires in this game, it's an empire building game. I've gone with the mixed drink called Empire Glory, and I'm hoping to regain the glory of my empire and ultimately have more influence. We'll see how that turns out.
So,
yes.
no, go ahead. Yes,
go
no,
ahead.
I was
Yeah.
going to say it's very thematic.
Yes.
So, and Annette is asking,
Hey, Annette.
there's a deck builder with area control.
That's exactly what it is.
You got it.
Yep. Yep, deck builder, area control, and skill tree manipulation. We're going to be promoting some of our followers. We can build various buildings, multiple paths to victory. Yep.
So I'm pure of heart. So I have the purest of drinks,
Yes.
water.
Yes. And I am not. Okay, so now starting with the starting player, which
Okay.
is myself, I get to pick which province I wish to start in, and you have to start in one of the provinces that have that windmill logo that I was telling you about. So I'm going to show you somewhere here. So this is just from a component sheet that's in the box because I can't really show you the board closer. So here's one of the symbols next to a province. And in the case of starting provinces, a little harder to see, but it's that windmill symbol that represents the villages. So there are 4 starting villages. We get to pick which one we're going to start in, and I am going to go with, and in terms of being able to see it from the overhead, the starting villages all have a defense of 7. So you can tell by the defense of 7 here, 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 and here. And I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start in Icewind.
Oh, of course you are. Well,
And then you
let's
get to
see.
pick yours.
Let's go somewhere that's not predictable at all. And I'm going to go to Riddle Cliff.
Okay, so now that we have our starting provinces, we get to recruit two cards from that province. So in the case of Icewind, I'm grabbing
I should shuffle these.
2 from the Mountain Clans Empire. Not yet, because you're going to grab your
Oh, yes, we got to do the...
grab your recruits first.
Exactly.
So you get 2 from the Woodland Nations.
Yes, 2.
And then that is now our starting deck of 10 cards. So we
Oh,
give that
boy.
a shuffle.
Yes, and my shuffling is not as fancy, so no judging, please.
And that is set up. We get to take 5 cards. Now, on the player board, I'll grab another player board here.
Yeah.
So we have spots. On the left is where you're going to place your deck. At the top is your play area, so I'll be playing all of my cards out here until the end of my turn, in which case, once I'm done, all cards then go to your discard, and there's a spot over here on the right for your discard, and then all your allies will be going to the right across here. So, on your turn, there are a bunch of things you can do. As a matter of fact, there are actually one thing I will show before I get started. They have some great cheat sheets here, or player aids. This one in particular is great for starting players. So it's got tips and tricks. It shows you, suggestions for your first couple turns, which is basically just try some things out, see how it works. Tips for building, tips for promoting, how to be merciful, how to be cruel. We've both mastered those one side or the other. Anyway,
Yeah.
how to conquer provinces. But that's, once you've started playing, you won't need this. But it's a great way to get into the game. Just some helpful tips. And even after you've played your first game, have a read through that and see anything that you didn't think of trying in your first play. And then the other card, the yellow section, is playing during your main phase. The white section at the bottom is conquering uncontrolled provinces. And then the white section on the back is conquering controlled provinces. So that's a little more involved, but I'll take you through all of those steps.
Yeah, player aids. That's right. I love player aids.
Yes, fantastic. Especially when you're first trying to learn the game. It makes it easier to get into it. So, the things you can do on your turn. You can do them in any order and as many times as you wish, with the exception of two things. Moving, you can only do once, unless you have an ability that says otherwise. And moving is simply from your current province to an adjacent province. So I could move here, here, or here. Or if I was in a province that is a port, which has an anchor symbol next to it, and there are 3 ports on the board, I could move from one port to another. So here, here, and down here. So you could move around those as well. So you can take a move at any point during your turn. So if I wanted to, I could start with a move and then do a conquer action, do a promotion, stuff like that, or do other things before my move and move at the end of my turn. The other thing that you can only do once per turn, and I mentioned this earlier, is gaining an ally. Those 3 allies that are up there, even if you fulfill multiple requirements on those ally cards, you can only take 1 on your turn. You would have to wait until a future turn to be able to take another. Outside of that, the other actions that you can do as many times as you have the ability to would be promote, and that's where you get stronger cards. So this isn't like most deck builders where you have a market and you're purchasing cards. What you're doing is you're actually taking your current cards and promoting them into stronger cards, which I love. I love having this tech tree where you can promote to stronger cards.
Yes.
Taking an action, which is literally if you have a card that says action on it, you just use that card for the action itself. Now, we don't have any starting cards with that, but once I see a card in play that somebody has an action ability on it, I'll show that so you can see what that means. You can conquer, and that's going to be trying to gain control of the province that you're in, and I'll show how that, the steps behind that when we get our first conquer action. You can build, and that's how you're going to be getting these buildings on your player mat, which will give you stronger and stronger abilities the higher level that you build to. And then you can cull. So in other deck builders, you need to have a card that specifically says that you can trash or scrap cards out of your deck. You don't need cards to tell you to do that. You can use your attack ability or your strength to cull cards out of your deck. However, when you do that, you do gain cruelty points, which is great if you're going on the cruelty track, not so much if you're going on the merciful track. So those are the options that are available to us. I will start playing, and then we'll just explain those actions as we're doing them. So.
Oh yes, I should have my cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
My starting hand is all just basic starting cards. So this will be a relatively simple turn. Let's see here. I think. Let's see here.
Maybe? So I don't know if we stated it already. We've kind of determined an idea of which kind of way we're going to go, so you can see how both sides work.
Mm-hmm.
So for you joining us, I will be looking at perhaps taking a more merciful approach.
And I will not.
There you go.
I'll be going the cruelty route. So we'll give tips along the way of how to go more merciful or more cruel, because once you do start heading down one track, you want to go all the way. You want to commit to one side or the other, because the stronger you are, one way or the other, the more benefits you're going to get from that. You don't want to be moving up and down the track constantly if you can help it.
So heavy, how heavy is this game? I don't particularly find it overly heavy.
No.
It's actually a relatively easy enough game to teach.
Yep,
Makes sense.
easy to teach, easy to, you might need, let's see here, I taught some people over, it was last weekend, and within, I'd say half the game, it was all quite clear. And then we immediately went into a second game, and there were no more questions at that point. Then It was game on.
Yeah, no, which is great.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build the Great Keep. So here's how you build. I'll show another player board again. So when you take the build action, again, these are all the different buildings that you can build and the corresponding cost in them. You start at 0. So you know what? I'll show you on my board. So I have all my tokens showing that I have not built anything yet. The one that I wish to build right now is the first one in general, called the Great Keep. It will cost me 4 labor to do so. So when you look at your cards, so this is the Trusted Follower, and on the side of the card here, you've got 2 labor and 1 strength. And that is those are the 2 currencies, basically, that you can use in the game to do various actions. And then the bottom of the card is how you would promote. I'll explain that when one of us takes the promote action. But right now we're looking at the abilities on or the currency, if you will, on the left side of the card. So again, looking at that Great Keep, I need, go here, I need 4 labor to be able to build that. And I'm using 2 Trusted Followers to do so. So the top number is the amount of labor, those 2 total 4, and I simply move the token down to represent that I have that Great Keep now built. And I get that bonus for the rest of the game. Even if I build the buildings below it, I get those in addition to any previously built buildings. So the benefit of the Great Keep is, while conquering or defending, I get to re-roll one of my dice, which is always a bonus. When you use a card for one of those 2 currencies, you cannot use the other currency. So in this case, I'm using the labor on both cards. I don't get to use the strength this time around. And then I can keep on playing with the cards that I have left, and I keep going until I decide I'm not playing any further. And then it would go over to Mandi's turn. I'll get this out. So next up, I am going to
So, Brent, I actually haven't played this game with 4. I know you've played it with 4. What were your thoughts on 4 players?
I actually love it. It all counts. It because the board, there is a different board for 2 and 3 and 4 on the other side. It does open it up a little more for more players. And I've actually enjoyed it. It all counts. I've played at 2, 3, and 4, and all counts I've enjoyed. It scales quite well. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So next, I'm going to. It's tempting to conquer, but I think it's too soon, especially with just 3 cards. So I think what I will do.
Caffeinated Canuck. Great name. So thanks for joining us.
I'm going to promote a card. So here's how you promote. When you promote, you can promote from hand or from your discard pile. But you cannot promote cards that have already been played. So that's why you do play cards out into your play area. Once they're here, they are neither considered in your hand nor in your discard pile. So I'm going to promote. From discard would have been best, but obviously I don't have a discard pile yet. I'm going to promote this Steadfast Conscript. So when you promote, looking at the bottom of the card, it shows the requirement to promote. In this case, I need 2 strength. And then it shows what it promotes to and the stats of that newly promoted card. So before I show you the newly promoted card, in the box, and it's nice to reference this every now and then, there is a promotion chart. So this shows you all of the various cards. So everything down the left are basic cards that you would recruit from the various realms, and both sides, there's more down here. And then it shows you what they promote to, and then if you promote again, it shows you the last card in that promotion tree. Each one in that second column is worth a point at the end of the game. It has the 1 influence marker here, and then the end of those tech trees are 4, and there's only 1 of each of these cards. So it's whoever gets that last one first will have it for the game. So looking at the Steadfast Conscript again, I need 2 strength, which I can do with another Steadfast Conscript. So he's the one I'm promoting. He gets a Steadfast Guard. So that's where you then look at the various upgrade decks that are out. He has the green colored top, which does mean he is common folk. So we've got the green, blue, purple, yellow, and black with their various names. And then it's just simply look through here to find the one that I'm looking for. So he goes to a Steadfast Guard. And these are limited. So once they're gone, that's it. You cannot promote any further. So this is the new card. So I'll show you the old and the new. So this was the original card, the starter card, and it's listed as starter on the bottom here. And this is the new one. So instead of 1 and 2, he's now 2 and 2, and has a plus symbol next to his strength. And that is because it could be modified based on the ability on the card. So in the case of this card, this hero gains +2 strength. Well, you have 8 or more cruelty or mercy. And that feeds into what I was saying earlier. Once you pick one side or the other, you want to go as strong as you can so that you get those perks. So that upgraded card then goes to my discard pile. The card that was upgraded, in the case of a starter card, gets removed from the game because it was a starter card. If it was from one of these other decks, you just put it back into the corresponding deck. Lastly, I have one card left. Not much I can do with it. So I do have a choice. You do not have to hold cards, nor do you have to throw cards away. If I wanted to, I could hold this for later rounds, for my next turn, or I can discard it. So in this case, I will discard it. At the end of your turn, you then recruit one card from the province that you're in. So I am in the Mountain Clans Empire province. That goes to my discard pile. And then you can recruit another card, but when you do so, you have to take 1 mercy. Now, because I'm trying to go on the cruel track, I actually don't want to do that. I'd love to have more cards, but I don't want to get mercy for doing so. It basically is like you're hiring more people, you're getting more people on your side within the province, and that gets you more mercy. I don't want to be doing that, and I'll show you how you get more cruelty later on. So that is me. I then draw back up to 5. That's over to you.
All right. So while that was happening, I had a chance to plan a little bit. So we're going to start with these 2 cards here. Sigil-born Convert and Steadfast Conscript for a total of 4 build. I do have one of the yellow cards in here, so this is going to allow me to build my Sigil-born Priory.
Okay. So
for 4
I'm
build.
Going to explain that, something I didn't mention because I was doing the general track.
No problem.
So there are, as I said, there are the 5 tracks that you can build on. When you're doing general, like I was with the Great Keep, you can use any cards to build this. But if you're going to build any of the other 4 that are faction specific, you must have at least 1 card within that faction that is being used to build that building. So in the case of Mandi's build, she does have a Sigil-born here, and that is what she needs to build in the Sigil-born track. And you just need to play a card that is of that faction. It doesn't necessarily have to have a build value to it. So for example, if she was playing, if Mandi wanted to build that Sigil-born Priory, and she had, I can't think of an example right now, but let's say it was a Sigil-born card that had 0 build, as long as she played that along with the ones that were building it, that's considered a card that is fitting that faction and would be able to build.
All right, so that is one thing I've done. And now that my Sigil-born Priory is in use, I get build actions cost me 1 less labor. So I must build again, but I will do so at a discount.
Nice.
So I'm spending labor worth 3.
Yep.
And because I have the green cards, or common folk, I will be building my Outland Tavern.
Very good.
Which is at 4 labor, but with a discount is 3. So when you promote a card, gain 1 cruelty or 1 mercy.
Yep.
Okay. That's going to be it for my actions cards. I have no cards left. So these ones are going to go into my discard. So now we're going to absolutely recruit.
Yep.
I am in Riddlecliff, so I'm going to take from the Woodland Nations, not just 1 card, but 2.
Which means Mandi gets 1 mercy.
Correct. And these will go straight to my discard, and then I will draw back up to 5.
Yep. So like we were saying before, you don't have to decide early on if you're going to be cruel or mercy. It's your actions that decide
Right.
that. Now, once you are on the track, you start, there is a 0 here. It might be tough to see there, but there is a 0 here, a little off the track. Once you do go onto the track, you would never go back to 0, but you can flip over to the other side. So let's say I took 1 mercy because I took an extra card on my last turn, and then I take 1 cruelty. I would go from 1 mercy to 1 cruelty. You don't go back to 0.
And I've moved the
All right, so we're on to round 2. So once we've explained everything that's happening, things will start to pick up quite quickly. It does become a rather smooth game. So we're into round 2. Let me see here. Ah, that's my starting advisor. All right. Well then, I think it's time to do some conquering.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. And I just need to take a quick peek at my discard. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. Yeah. Okay, so when you conquer, basically you're going to be looking at the defense value of the province, and this is for uncontrolled provinces. So right now nobody controls this province, or any province for that matter. It has a defense value of 7. I will be playing cards, and I choose how many, looking at the strength value, which are the swords. So that's the bottom number of those. I get to pick and play as many as I wish. The more I play, the stronger my attack is going to be. And the way it's going to work is whatever the highest card is that's played, that's going to determine how many dice I get to roll, and then all remaining cards determine what my starting strength is. So just because it is early, I don't really want to take any chances at the moment. So I'm just going to use, oh, that seems excessive.
Oh,
it
go
seems
for it.
excessive.
Go for it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I want to make sure I get this. I want to make sure I get the first one. Okay, so I will use all cards. My highest strength card is my Tactician, which is my starting advisor. So that was the random card that I got when we were setting up our decks. With a strength of 3, that means I'm going to get to roll 3 dice. And then the remaining total is 6 against 7, which means on these, all I need to roll is 1 strength. So I will show you, so you have an idea of what the odds are. They have a breakdown of the various sides of the dice. So there you go there. So you can see there's 1 blank side, and then there are 2 with a strength of 1, 1 with a strength of 2, 1 with a strength of 3, and then those other symbols are called ruin. And I'll show you what that means once I'm done attacking. So I just need 1 sword. I just need 1 strength. Whew. All right. So I got 2 blanks and a 3. And the blanks don't show up, which is fine because they're blank, but the 3, I think that shows up okay. Now, I did build my Great Keep on my last turn, which means I could, if I wanted to, re-roll one of those. I don't need to. I have more than enough. So that does mean I get to conquer this, which, now again, normally these towers would be standing up and you would put your flag at the top. We're just going to set our flags by the name of the province, so you can still see them. Actually, maybe we could even just stand them on, no, that'll be precarious. There we go. So I've conquered that province. For conquering it and gaining control of it, I then get 2 followers from that province or from that realm. So I do get 2 from the Mountain Clans Empire. Those go to my discard. And then I have cards here from the Hordes of Zerd faction. I did play 2 of these that have an ability on them. So I played them for their strength here, but I still get to do the when you play this card ability on it. If it said action and that, you could only do that as an action. You would not get the ability, the numbers on it. So in the case of these cards, when I play this card, I may cull 1 card from my hand or discard pile. And I get to do that twice.
Nice.
So that is how you can start making your deck a little stronger. And I think I will. Ooh, do I want to do that? Sure. I'm going to cull these 2 trusted followers because I don't trust them. I'm going to get rid of those. So they are out of my deck, but because I am essentially ridding my realm of people, I take cruelty for every card that I cull. So that is how you can start gaining cruelty. Anytime you cull cards, whether it was through using the strength value of a card to cull them or through abilities on cards like that, you do take cruelty for each one. The exception is during the conquer of a controlled province. I'll explain that when we do get to that, though. But otherwise, anytime you cull a card, you take cruelty. That was all my cards played. I then recruit one more. And if I wanted, again, I could take a second, but I would have to take mercy for doing so. So I'll just recruit the one. These go to my discard pile. And that is me. I have to draw 5, so I do have to shuffle my discard pile.
All right. Well, I'm going to have another uneventful turn. So first, we're going to start off by... Actually, it doesn't matter what order, but we'll start off by doing a build. Now, I'm using 2 of the green cards. Common vote cards, but I'm actually going to build the Great Keep in the general, so I can use any card. And this is going to allow me to re-roll one of my dice, while conquering or defending. And then for my next trick, I am going to build again. However, I am unfortunately going to have to pay full cost, even though I do get a bit of a discount, because I don't get change, so it is what it is. But I will be building the town garrison. Your cards cost you 1 less labor or 1 less attack to promote to a minimum of 1.
Nice.
So we'll throw that.
So now all of Mandi's buildings cost 1 less, and all of her promotions cost 1 less.
Correct.
A very efficient way to do things. So as Mandi was saying, when you do spend either the labor or the strength to do something, you don't get any change. You can't then use the extra or the remaining for other actions. Each action must be resolved in and of itself, and the card is then spent.
Okay, so that's it for you. Bye-bye. Into the old discard. I will recruit from here, so the Woodland Nations, and I will obviously recruit 2 to increase my mercy.
Very good.
These go straight into the old discard.
All right, and on to round 3.
Yep. Now, Games of Fire, no, I'm sorry, I missed your question earlier. How long does the game usually play for? So gameplay time.
With 2 people that know how to play it, I think you could easily get through a game in an hour.
I think so.
Yeah, it flows quite nicely. This will take a bit longer, obviously, because we are teaching along the way, and being able to interact with all the awesome viewers, which is always fun. But yeah, I would say a 2-player game would be about an hour. A 4-player game...
Yeah, how did you find that?
4-player game, even the teaching game was only 2.5 or so.
It's not bad.
And then we played again right away, and I think that one went, let's say about 2 hours. I'd say about 2 hours for 4 people. Maybe even less once people are really comfortable with it and they know what they want to do. Okay, so it's over to me. Let's see here.
Wow, this is interesting.
Okay. 2, 3, 4, 10, eh? 5, 6, 7. That's scary. That's not enough.
Chat is so exciting, and there's so many lovely people in comments, so thank you for joining us, and thank you for the lovely comments. We really appreciate it.
Okay, I think I'm going to build the Outland Tavern as well.
Oh,
I always like a tavern, right? I'm sure they have themed beverages in this tavern. So it will take me 4 labor to do so. So 2 trusted followers would be the 4 labor I need. And similar to Mandi, now whenever I promote a card, I gain 1 cruelty or 1 mercy. So through promotions, you can start going further ahead on those tracks. Then... My goodness, this hand is a problem. Or is it? I haven't really decided yet. I think what I'm going to do... Oh, why not? Let's take a chance.
Oh boy, here we go.
So again, all of your actions can be done in any order you wish. I have not used my move action yet. So I'm going to move to Jezra. And this is a bit of a gamble, but...
Payoff.
I am going to try and conquer that with 3 cards. So again, you look at your highest strength card. So in this case, it's my tactician again. That means I'm going to get 3 dice. And again, that card is only the number of dice you get to use. That does not count towards your starting strength. The other cards I'm going to use are a Steadfast Conscript and a Bloodhammer. That's a total of 4 starting strength. and a defense of 7 on that province. So I need to roll 3. I did it last time. The question is, can I do it again?
I'm sure you'll be fine. Look at that.
More than enough.
Lots.
Okay, now, can you see? It's a little far away there, but this was one of the sides I rolled. So that is 2 successes and a ruin. Now, I needed 3, as I said. So here's what I actually rolled. Can I show this correctly? There we go. So I only need the results of that 1 die on the far left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-roll this one to try and get rid of that ruin, because what happens with ruin is once you've either gained control of it or not, every ruin you've rolled on a die removes one of the defense. Now that becomes important when you're trying to take control of those really strong, the strongholds, because you want to reduce the ruin to make it easier. However, if you can get control of it without ruin, these are also going to be worth points for every defense value at the end of every year when we go into a scoring round. So I would prefer, because that is all I need to control it, I would prefer to get rid of that ruin. So I do get the reroll with my Great Keep. And there we go.
Look at that.
So I don't even have to worry about ruin.
Nice.
Now let's say I did not reroll, this would come off, and now it would only have a defense of 6 when I go to control it. So that does stay there. I do get control. Because I did win that conquer, I then get 2 cards from the Riverway Sovereignty. Those go to my discard pile. And I did play another Blood Hammer. That is, when I play this card, I may cull a card from my hand or discard pile. I'm not going to trigger that. I've played all my cards. These go to the discard pile. I will take 1 more from the Riverway Sovereignty. That is me.
Okay, and while I'm about to play my turn,
Yes.
Mikhail, I hope I pronounced that correctly, would you say that this is a game where people attack each other, or is it more passive? Also, do you think this would be a good game for a family? So I will leave that with you while I ponder my next turn.
Sure. It's really up to you what you want to do, right? If you're playing the side of cruelty, you're generally doing more of the attacking. If you're playing the side of mercy, you're doing more building and promoting. And in terms of overall strategy for each, what's going to happen is playing the side of cruelty and doing a lot of attacking, I think, is the easiest way to start playing the game, because it's a very straightforward strategy. You know what you need to do. It's right there. You need to attack what is in front of you. Whereas and it's points now. You'll see in the scoring phase, I will be getting more points. There's no question about that. Whereas the merciful track is more of a long-term strategy. You're trying to build to get stronger, and you're going to get more points later in the game. It's more of an end game strategy. But because of that, it's a more difficult starting strategy when you're first learning the game, because you don't understand how to look that far ahead yet. But in terms of family play, it comes down to how you wish to play it. If you were playing 4 players and all 4 players wanted to play merciful, you could do that. But the flip side is, if all 4 people wanted to play cruel and just attack each other like crazy, you could do that as well. I think it could be played by a family. If it's a family that has played games before, if there was somebody that doesn't like being attacked and likes just sort of playing their own game, it might be hard to avoid. Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. Okay. What do you got going on? That's a lot of strength.
Yes, but we're
not being used for it. Okay.
No, I have to build up because you'll see as the game progresses, I don't have the same types of cards that Michael does. So I have to kind of approach things a little bit differently. So I will be building my castle barracks for 7 because of my discount. It actually costs 8 labor. And as you can see here, sorry. Nope, I will not be doing that because I was looking at the wrong symbols. Rewind. So instead, what I think I will do, actually, you know what? I could just do that instead. Oh, well, guess what? Guess who's attacking? So I'm actually going to do an attack. That would make sense.
Going for a conquer?
Yeah, I was hoping to get that prior to doing so, but I was looking at the wrong symbols. I was looking at attack versus labor.
Yep.
Here's where it gets a bit tricky. So I already have 4. I'm contemplating only using 2 dice.
Okay.
to do it, which means I would need at least, what is it, 7? So I need at least
You need at least 3.
3. I do have a
And
reroll.
I've done that twice, no problem.
I think I'm going to, because I have a card I'd like to promote, so I think we're gonna attempt this.
Now, before you roll,
Yes.
one strategy or one little tip that they do offer, I can't remember if it was on one of the player aids or if it was in the rule book, but a tip they offer is when you're doing your first few conquer attempts, to try and have as much strength showing on your cards as you're going up against. So in this case, it is 7 defense, and Mandi's using a total of 6 strength when you ignore the dice, a total of 6 strength. 2 of that strength translates into dice, and then 4 strength up against the 7. So this isn't that far off of what they do recommend. Have close to that amount.
Right.
You wouldn't want to go in with cards against 7 that total 4, because then one of those cards will be dice, and then you don't have a high enough number. It will be very difficult. So this is pretty close. It's still a bit of a gamble.
Right.
And there are dice, and it is you, so
This could be blanks.
You and dice.
Which is why I was really hoping to get that castle barracks into
Yes.
play for this, but we're gonna give it a go.
All right.
Wow.
1.
There it is. However,
You do have the reroll.
oh my goodness, why does this always happen to me? Every time.
You got this. No,
Are you
short.
kidding
Okay.
me? I'm short by 1.
So here's the result. So you can see it was 2 strength
Unbelievable.
and 1 ruin, which means Mandi won't be controlling that province. With the ruin, 1 defense does come off of that tower. But this also means it will be easier for her next attempt.
Right.
The other thing you have to be careful of, though, is that it would also be easier for anybody else's next attempt. So if I was in an adjacent province, I could then step in and try and control that before Mandi had control of it. So that's where the chippiness of the game can start coming into play.
Well, that did not go as planned.
Now,
So.
because it wasn't controlled, she also doesn't get to take cards for the conquer, but you're not done yet.
No. Alas, I still have a couple things to do here. So what I think I will do... Even though I do get a bit of a discount... Oh, this is kind of an idea. Hold on. The tides have turned here. There's a question for you, actually.
Sure.
Well, actually, more or less, Caffeinated Connect. Maybe check that out, because
Sure.
it's interesting.
Okay. Every time I've played this game, it's been won by a merciful player.
I know,
I've
right?
only tried the cruelty track at this point, as attempting a thin deck strategy appeals to me. Okay. I would say my first few games playing, it was always won by a cruel player, actually. And because of that, okay, I played cruel, and I won both times playing as cruel. So then I thought, okay, well, I want to try the side of merciful to see what is that side like. And I lost my first game as merciful. But you do need to change, for sure, you need to change your way of thinking, because you're not going to be doing as much attacking. But then my next few games playing as merciful, I was able to win. And I find that's showing that it actually has great balance. Both sides can win. You just need to change how you're actually playing it on both sides. And Games of Fire, you're very welcome.
Okay, so I am going to promote my Steadfast Conscript by using the Outland Beggar. I know this one provides me with an extra mercy. However, I'm getting a bit of a discount due to my town garrison, so
Sure.
I thought it would be best that I did this way.
Okay.
So the Steadfast Conscript now becomes I need 2 attacks, so I have that
2
here.
strength, yep.
And so we will, what are you? Oh, you're a Woodland Nations person.
You're turning into a Steadfast Guard.
That is correct.
All right.
Thank you.
So what Mandi is doing is this
Yes.
card,
That's good.
the Steadfast Conscript, and this is not one of her starting cards. It is similar to a starting card, but you can
Right.
tell by the bottom that it's not a starting card, because starting cards would have that brown border at the bottom. So that came from one of the Realm decks. So Mandi has spent all of her time in Riddlecliff, which means she's always taking Woodland Nations, and the Common Folk is one of the people that you can recruit from that province. So on that card, to upgrade it or to promote it, it requires 2 strength, but Mandi gets a discount with her
Oh, my town garrison?
your town garrison.
Correct.
So she's only spending 1 strength to be able to upgrade it. That then goes back under the bottom of the deck for Woodland
Yes.
Nations. So anything that does get upgraded goes back to its starting deck, unless it was a starting card. Then it goes back to the box.
And thank you, Vilazari, for answering that question. It was in regards to when a damage has happened.
The ruin?
Right.
Yep.
Through a province that, as he's saying, that you control. If you run a province that later is, okay, sorry, it's not in control, but you later take it over, but there has been damage to it. Are you able to get that back? So yes, you can, and that was answered.
Yeah, there are various card abilities that allow you to repair any damage. It's an ability that will say you may add defense to a province that you currently are in. It says may because if you don't control it, you don't actually want to be adding defense to it because it may be somebody else's, or it may be uncontrolled and you're still trying to take it. So there are ways you can repair it, but one thing to keep in mind is that the starting defense is also the maximum defense. So in Riddlecliff, it started with 7 defense. It has 6 now. If Mandi was to take control of it and repair it, 7 is the cap. You can't go above that starting defense.
Okay. So I have now since
you recruited 2, which gave you 1 merciful.
And I've moved up the round tracker, which I better get on some conquering
so
here.
So we're on to round 4, which is the end of the first year. So once we've both played 1 more turn, we then have the end of year scoring. And there are 3 years, so there's 3 end of years scoring, and then the end of game scoring after all of that. Okay, I need to quickly look at my discard pile. Okay. Let's talk more action. Let's see here.
These cards are killing me. Killing me. Oh, for goodness sakes.
All right.
Well, I shouldn't say that, actually. Okay. Not too shabby. Well, this would be nice. Oh, so much talk.
All right. I'm going to, because it is end of year, I'm going to take a bit of a gamble.
Oh boy.
I'm going to first move up to Barangard, which has a defense of 10. And I'm going to just throw all my people at it. So all 5 cards are going. Which, as I was saying, defense of 10, I'm playing a total strength of 3, 5, 7, 9. I'm playing a total strength of 10. So that's fair odds going in. My strongest one is my Fist of Zerd that gets me 3 dice. And then everything else totals 2, 4, 6, 7, which does mean I will need to roll 3 on 3 dice. I've done that twice.
Yes.
I'm not confident I can do it again, so I am going to take advantage of one of the cards that I'm playing. My Horde Marauder. So this is one of the Fist of Zerd faction cards, which are pretty much all about attacking and taking control of things. The ability on this card states that when I play it, I may inflict 1 ruin on my current province, and if I have 6 or more cruelty, I can actually inflict 2, so an additional ruin. So what I'm going to do is, in playing that, I will inflict 1 ruin on that province right away. Now I only need to get 9. And I have a starting strength of 7.
Oh, so you're good.
I should hopefully be good. I'll just throw that around. Okay, so I need 2.
Look at that.
More than enough.
No ruin.
So a total of 4, no ruin. That's fantastic. So I do take control of that. Now I did, in effect, take away 1 point from that because these will be worth points. You'll see at the end of year scoring. But I wanted to make sure I got it for that end of year scoring. So I played it a little safe there. Now, I also have the Bloodhammer, and when I play that card, I can cull 1 card from my hand or discard pile. And I think I will. I don't really care for the Halax Guildlord faction, so I'm going to return this to the Riverway Sovereignty, please. And because I culled a card, I do get 1 cruelty. With the faction, or sorry, with the Conquer win, I do get 2 cards from the Hallowed Vale into my discard pile. And that's all my cards played, so these are gone, and then end of turn I do take 1 more card from that province. That is me.
Alright, so first I'm going to start with building my Blessed Academy. So I have a labor of 3, 4, 5. I needed 6, but because of my discount. And this is when an end of year scoring phase begins. Add 1 defense to each province you control.
So there's another way to add defense, but you need to control provinces to trigger.
Right.
But it'll come in handy later for sure.
So now I'm going to attempt, yet again, to... It's not with a lot of strength, but we're going to give it a go.
Well, you do have a Numerai Wanderer. That's fantastic.
So it's going to give me at least 3 dice.
Yep.
I have a total of 3 strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's one of those Wanderers that I was talking about that don't belong to any particular faction. Those are the strongest cards in those 4 realm decks because they have 3 labor and 3 strength. And they can upgrade to those random cards that all have unique and strong abilities to them.
All right. Actually, no. I do get 3 dice.
So 3 dice. You have 3. You need 3 more to match the 6.
Here we are yet again.
You have a reroll.
Yeah, well, that didn't do very much for me last. So let's see if I can change these odds.
You got it.
A lot of damage, though. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep. But
So right now, Mandy's got, that was 4 strength and 3 ruin, which does mean 3 of those come off, which is not great for scoring.
seriously?
So she's going to use her reroll to try and get rid of a ruin.
Okay.
There we go.
So at least it's only 2.
So only 2 ruin.
Oh, it's so sad. But with my
come on.
building, I'll get a little extra
Yeah,
something.
you'll get 1 back.
So
Yep.
it's not too bad. So,
So stick a flag in it.
woohoo! Dun, 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 dun.
All right. And I think that's all of your cards, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
And
So
we're-
first off, for your Conquer, you do get the 2 cards.
Right. From, where are we now?
The Woodland
Woodland,
Nations.
thank
Yep.
you. 1 and a 2. Oh,
then-
I like where that's going.
Excellent. And then for end of turn,
Yep. We're going to take another a 2.
which gets you 1 more mercy.
Or technically, I guess I could have moved, couldn't I?
Yep. So, again, you can move and do all other actions in any order you wish. So, if Mandy chose, she could move to another province and recruit from that province instead.
No, I like what this province is giving me, so we'll stick with it.
Okay.
Yep.
And I already gave you the 1 mercy.
Perfect.
That's good.
And that will be my turn.
Okay. So now we go into end of year scoring. And also on these player mats.
I'm so excited. Yes, I rolled it barely.
They do break it down for you on here with during the game what happens, end of year scoring, and then end of game scoring. So there's all kinds of player aids that make things flow nice and smooth.
Okay, I love finding out new information. Sabella Zari, the man behind the BGB podcast on Twitter. Yay! I
Nice.
see so many people that I chat with on Twitter, and then when I see their screen names, I don't necessarily put 2 and 2 together. So great to sort of meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, so end of year scoring, the first thing we look at is each province that players control, and you're just basically totaling the defense. That's the amount of influence you get. So with the Conquer action that Mandy just took, that does earn her 4 points.
Yay! I know. It looks rough right now. Then you're watching it going, that's not a lot. However, I have a plan.
Actually, I'm going to back that up for a second because the build that you did do,
Correct.
the Blessed Academy, when an end of year scoring phase begins, so this happens before the actual scoring, she gets to add 1 defense to each province that she controls.
It's
so
the 1.
we will add 1 to that.
Okay, there we go.
There. So now it's actually 5. Ta-da! And then myself, I'm controlling these 3 provinces, and as I said, with the cruel track, it's going to be a lot of points now, whereas the merciful track tends to be a lot of points later.
Right.
So you'll see a discrepancy, but that will start to shrink later on.
Right. There is a reason why I'm building a lot, and
Absolutely.
we will get to that as the game progresses.
Yeah. So we've got 7 here. 7 here is 14, plus another 9 is 23 for a total of 28. Then the other thing you look at is having control of a realm. And as I said at the start of the stream, controlling a realm is having 2 provinces within the same realm. And right now with these 3 provinces, they are all different realms, so I do not actually control a realm. If I did, the points that you get are showing at the end of each year. So at the end of year 1, it's 4 points for each realm you control. Year 2 is 8, and year 3 is 12.
Oh, no pressure. I don't know about winning, but definitely show you what you can do.
So that's end of year scoring.
All
Quite
right.
easy. And we keep on going. So round tracker moves.
Yep.
We're into round 5.
Oh boy, I gotta do a little shuffle action here. Deck's getting kind of big.
Well. All right.
Come on, big cards.
I'm not liking my hand at the moment, but it will set me. It will set myself up okay. So I think what I'm going to do. Oh no! I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build.
Oh boy.
Okay, here's what I'll do. I'm going to build the Sigilborn Priory. Now, generally on the side of cruelty, you're not going to be doing a lot of building, but I will be doing some. So I'd like to make it cheaper, and that's what the Sigilborn Priory does. I think that was Mandy's first build.
Yes.
To make all future builds cheaper. So it will cost me 4. So I'll show my board again. So I am building within the Sigilborn, which means I do need to have a Sigilborn building. So that's the yellow card that I'm playing. And I do need 4 to build it. There we go there. I do need 4 to build it.
So this is a good sort of interrupt here.
Yep.
So if you were playing Merciful, do you still think it's okay to attack provinces controlled by players? Oh, absolutely. However, in games that we've played, I've definitely tried it just to see how it works out. If a person is playing Cruel, they're kind of building their deck toward destruction, destroying, conquering. So it's doable, but it's tricky.
But, so we haven't shown you yet what happens when you try and conquer a controlled province. There is a defense to it. So if I am trying to defend this province and Mandy was going to attack it, there are ways that I can defend it, and it has to do with cards that have a shield. I'll show that quickly. I won't get into the full explanation yet. But that card underneath the stats, there's that black and white shield underneath the numbers. You can only play cards that have that shield in your defense. And I will say that at least from my finding, the way I've played it, on the Cruel track, I tend to not have a lot of those in my deck. So it was, I think, one of our first few games that you had played. You did attack me, and I didn't have a single defense card in my hand. So all I could do was just sit and watch as you took it over. So it doesn't mean if you're going the side of Merciful that you won't attack.
Oh, of course not.
You do just have to be a little more careful and pick your time.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so I did build. That gets me the Sigilborn Priory. I'm left with a few cards, and I'm going to show you one of your other actions that are available, and that is culling. So I'm going to use the Bloodhammer. So when you go to cull, again, you can cull from discard or from hand. Obviously more efficient from discard, but again, I don't have a discard pile right now. So I'm going to cull using my Bloodhammer, which has a strength of 2. And the strength indicates how many cards you can cull. So I'm going to cull 2 cards from my hand, and they are both Outland Beggars. The nature of culling means each card gone is 1 more cruelty, but with these ones, when you cull this card, gain an additional cruelty. So by getting rid of both of these, I actually gain 4 cruelty. That puts me up to 7. More and more cruel. That's how I roll. All right, so these go back to the bottom. They both came from the Mountain Clans Empire, so they go to the bottom of the deck. That is done. Now, I don't have any cards left to play. I could still move if I wanted to, and I think I do. So I'm going to move up to here, which means I get to then recruit from that realm, which is the Riverway Sovereignty, only taking 1. That goes to my discard pile, and I am done.
Okay. I love that. The Blondie reference. Very nice. Love it. Okay. So, this is just not working out as well as I would like. So there are a couple questions in here. Ziggy Bobinator, hello, hello.
Ziggy Bobinator?
Can both players play Merciful or Cruel?
Absolutely. You can choose whatever you wish. We decided ahead of time that we were going to each do one side, just so that everybody could see how each side plays. But your strategy will change if you're both going to choose one side. So for example, if you're going the side of Merciful, and again, this is just based on my plays and the way I've played them, I find that Merciful isn't necessarily as strong at attacking or conquering, but is much stronger at defending. So once you get something, you kind of lock it down. So in the way I see it, in a 2-player Merciful versus Merciful game, what you'd probably have is a rush to get those provinces, because once you get them, you'll probably have a good chance of holding them. But again, there are many ways to build your decks in this game. So your results may actually be completely different from what I was saying.
All right, so I'm going to build the castle barracks.
Okay.
And this time I have enough labor.
Yeah, you do.
So I have a total of 7. It actually costs 8, but with my discount, 7. Castle barracks, while conquering or defending, you gain +2 strength or attack for each of your blank die results. I need this
So
badly.
that basically just upgraded Mandi's dice, which is fantastic.
So this is what I was trying to get before I started conquering, because I don't want to take any chances. And then I'm kind of in a quandary because I don't have anything in my discard to promote. And well, if I do promote, it's fine, but I'll be overpaying greatly. Additionally, I could just keep these cards in hand.
Yep. So at the end of your turn, you can choose which ones to keep or keep none at all and discard them. But if you had, say you had just done a round of building like Mandi did, I don't know what she has in her hand, but if she had a card that was, say, good for attack, and she wanted to conquer on her next turn, then she might just hold that one card back and hope she gets some more conquering cards in her next
Which
hand.
is what I'm going to do.
There we go.
So
Okay.
I'm actually just going to discard this card. It's not played, so nothing will happen here. Additionally, I'm going to... Oh! I see you've beat me to it. I will move here.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's nothing stopping Mandi from moving into my province. There's nothing blocking. This just represents where you are right now.
Right.
It has no value to it. It's not blocking anybody else from moving. Yeah.
But I think for now we're going to go here. I'm going to discard these. And then I get to promote, but I'll be promoting from...
Recruit.
Oh, sorry. Did I say promote? I meant recruit. I had promote on the brain.
No worries.
So I'll be recruiting from Mountain Clans Empire. So I'll be taking 2 cards here.
Which gets you a mercy.
Oh, well, that's relatively interesting. Those will go to my discard. This is the card I'm keeping.
And then when you draw, after keeping cards, you just draw back up to your hand limit.
So now I have to...
At the start of the game is 5. There are ways to change that.
Yes. So there we go. So now for a total of 5.
Perfect.
Did you move this already?
Not yet.
There we go.
All right. Halfway. Round 6.
Yes. Definitely what Rapunzel said with Mercy. It requires a focused strategy. I haven't fully developed it yet, but I'm working toward it.
And hey, Rapunzel.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I forgot to mention she was in the chat.
Yeah, Mercy is a bit more of a focused or planned strategy, like saying. It's more of a long-term thing, which does make it a little more difficult for your first play, because you won't be able to see that far ahead yet. But I actually enjoy playing both sides.
Both are great.
Yeah. Alrighty then.
Oof. Yeah, that's a problem. Oh, this is so tough. I have a good hand, and it's just, it can go either way. Yikes. I just don't know. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm in the same quandary myself. Oh, my goodness. What to do?
Yeah, okay.
I could do that. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, boy.
Like, what do we do?
Okay.
That's a big one. I know. I was looking at this myself, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, defensive 16 this early is tough to get into.
It's crazy.
So I think that pretty much answers what I want to do, and that's just start promoting. My promotions cost the full amounts. I do not have the town garrison like Mandi does. All right. I'm going to promote. So again, you can promote from hand or from the discard pile. So from my discard pile, I'm going to promote the Steadfast Guard that I have there. This is a card that I have already upgraded once. I'm about to upgrade it a second time, which does mean that that is the end of that skill tree, and it's the only card that is at the end of that skill tree. So I'm the first one to get it, and get it I will. That's going to cost me 6 strength. So there's 6 strength. It's tempting to use that to attack, but I think it's too soon to go up against something that strong.
Quite a bit.
So that is going to get me the Steadfast Captain. Now, before I put that card away, I'll show you. So here's the Steadfast Guard. And remember, I did upgrade a card to get this originally, and it is showing at the bottom here it needs 6 strength to upgrade it. Upgrades to the Steadfast Captain. This card is currently worth 1 point, but I'm getting rid of that to bring in the Steadfast Captain. The yellow text box indicates that it is the only card and is the end of the skill tree. So there is no upgrade or promotion requirement here, and this is going to be worth 4 points and has a much stronger ability on it, including the stronger labor and attack or strength. So in this case, if I'm using this card to defend, because it does have the shield icon on it, I get to choose a card in my discard pile that also has a shield, and this card then gains strength equal to that card's strength. So the Steadfast Captain, it's almost like he's calling on a recruit from the discard pile to say, okay, you need to add to my strength. So that goes into my discard pile. This goes back into the deck from whence it came. And I still have some cards left here. And with the Outland Tavern, when I promote a card, I can gain a cruelty or a mercy, so I will take a cruelty. Lastly, I think I'm going to build the Black Gulag, which is under the Hordes of Zerd track, which means I do need to have one of the black cards, the Hordes of Zerd card, so I am playing the Bloodhammer in there. So I have a total of 4 builds. That's what I need, or 4 labor. That's what I need to build the Black Gulag. And now that lets me, once per turn, during my main phase, I can cull a card in my hand or discard pile without having to spend any attack. I just get to do it for free. So with that in play, I will do that. I will cull this Devout Granger. So this goes back, oh wait, no, that came from the Hallowed Vale, please. Bottom of the deck. And because I culled a card, I do get one more cruelty. And the Devout Granger that I used, not the one that I just culled, but the one that I used does have an ability on it that says, when build, which I just did, I may gain 1 mercy. But because I'm going the cruel track, I'm obviously going to opt not to. That is me. I then get to recruit from the Riverway Sovereignty. Over to you.
All right. So first I'm going to start off by moving.
You were just passing through, were you?
Just passing through. That's a little too rich for my liking. And then I shall, just to throw everyone for a loop, I will do a build.
Okay.
I say that now, and I may change my mind in a moment. Actually, I did change my mind. Wait, rewind. Let's take a gander here. If I do that, I do that. I'm gonna do that. Oh, but I could do that. Oh, that seems like an overkill. Yeah, we want to do that. Oh, yeah, that's better. Now we're talking. Okay, so first I'm gonna do the build.
Okay.
Do I want to do that? Oh, decisions. If I do that, that doesn't really leave me with a lot. But okay, you know what? We're gonna do it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna build using.
Two Numeri Wanderers. Nice.
I know. I didn't really want to do that, but I'm trying to literally kill 2 birds with 1 stone here.
Sure.
So I'm going to build the Imperial Council.
Okay.
When you promote a card, you may place that card on top of your deck.
Very good.
It's 6. I didn't really take advantage of my discount here, but mathematically it wasn't going to happen. So next on the list of items to do, I'm going to attack.
Sure.
So I'm going to use my Cell Sword, which when I conquer, I may reroll 1 of my dice.
Very nice.
And then I have 4 strength here.
Okay.
So I'm going to get 3 dice out of that.
Yep, 3 dice and 4 strength starting, needing a total of 7.
But I also have some good things happening
Yep,
here. So.
any blanks are going to be worth 2. You get 1 reroll plus another reroll there.
Right.
Yep.
So let's hope this is in my favor.
I think odds are looking pretty good.
Okay, come on, big money. Oh, look at that!
More
Was
than
like
enough.
the cleanest roll ever.
Yeah, no
when I
ruin.
Don't need anything.
6 strength, so you've got a total of 10 against 7. Stick a flag in it. It's done.
Wow, I'm almost regretting not doing this because I had some great cards earlier.
Well, yeah, with the 6 there.
Yeah, it was doable, but let's not take any chances. So that's gonna happen.
Yeah, you would have had 16.
Yeah.
And that's 16.
Yeah.
You would have had it.
I didn't want to chance it.
All right. So for the Conqueror, so no ruin was rolled, which means no defense comes off of there. For the Conqueror, you do get 2 cards from the Hallowed Vale.
Everyone's so nice cheering me on with my bad dice rolls.
That was a fantastic roll.
It was a great roll, just unfortunately not where I could have used it. Okay.
And then if that's the end of your turn,
That is it.
you
So
could take 2 more.
we will do a discarding here. And I will take 2 more from where I am.
And I'll give you a mercy for that.
Beautiful. Oh, these cards are looking not too shabby, I must say.
And we're up to round 7.
Round 7. Okay, I gotta move it along here. Yay!
Okay. I think I am also going to do some building to start. I have the same discount, and I would like the Imperial Council. When I promote a card, I can place a card on top of my deck. That's the
Yep.
same one that Mandi got.
Exactly.
So that will cost me 5 to build. 5 labor. And I will do so thusly. And because that is on the general track, again, you can use any cards for that. You don't have to match anything. So I have that. So now when I promote a card, they go to the top of my deck instead of into the discard pile. So it makes your deck a little faster. And having said that, I will take a look at my deck. What do I have here? I think it's time for a round of promotions.
All the promotions. Oh, this hand is a problem. Ooh. Oh, that's not great.
Okay. Yeah, time for a round of promotions. I do not get the discount on promotions. I am going to promote a Fist of Zerd. That requires 2 strength, and I will use a Steadfast Conscript to do so. So the Fist of Zerd becomes the Eye of Zerd. This goes back to the Riverway Sovereignty, please.
Yes.
And Eye of Zerd. So this is what I just promoted to. So he's a little stronger. He's good at attacking. The eye, like I said, the hordes of Zerd are great for a general attack strategy. They have great attacking abilities, and not just the stats, but the abilities at the bottom. So in the case of this card, he has a conquer ability. So if I played this card to try and conquer a province, that would trigger. I may re-roll 1 of my dice for every 4 cruelty I have. I'm currently at 9, so I'd get to re-roll 2 dice. Now when this card triggers, it is a one-time event. It's not I could re-roll 1 die 3 times. It's just 1 time you can re-roll up to 3 dice. But I get to put that on top of my deck because of my Imperial Council. So the order you do things can be important as well. What else do I have here?
I know I'm planning ahead here, and there's so many good things I want to do, and I, well, can't, unfortunately.
I think the next thing I'll upgrade is, promote, is the Bloodhammer. So that requires 2 strength as well. And I will use the Horde Marauder that I have to do so. This goes back to the Riverway Sovereignty deck, please. And I get a Blood Axe. So the Blood Axe. He's got, again, stronger attack stats, and he has a Conquer ability at the bottom. And that ability states, I may cull any cards that I recruit from this action. So remember, when you conquer, if you successfully conquer, you do get you get to recruit 2 cards for that conquer action. I can then turn around and say, nope, don't want them, put them back in the deck, and I take cruelty for it. So now that we're getting towards the ends of our tracks, I'll tell you that once you're at the end, any cruelty or mercy, whatever side you're on, that you get after that becomes straight points. You get influence for every time you're at max and get more points. So that turns into just straight points for discarding cards. And again, that goes to the top of my deck. I am left with 1 card. Oh, and speaking of which, did I go up? I get a cruelty for each promotion.
Right.
Did I do that for my previous one? I don't think I did I?
I don't recall.
I don't think I did.
Because you were definitely, I know you had gone up to 7 for 1 turn.
With all of the explaining, I don't think I explained that. So yes, with the Outland Tavern, I get 1 cruelty or 1 mercy for each promotion. That was 2 promotions, so that puts me at 11. And with 1 card left, you know what? Just because I can, I will. I have a Devout Granger here, which is a faction that I don't really care about that much, being somebody that's playing on the cruel side. However, I have a card here that is worth 2 labor, doing no good in my hand right now, so I'm going to use that to promote this card to a Devout Scribe. So this goes to the Hollowed Veil deck, please.
Yep. There we go.
And a Devout Scribe comes into my deck. And I gain 1 cruelty. Now, I have a decision to make. With the Imperial Council, I may place cards that I promote on top of my deck. What I've just promoted, those previous 2, they're a little more strength heavy. So what I think I'm going to do is, because this one is more build specialized, which is why I was saying I don't really care about the faction, but it is worth a point at the end of the game. I think I'm going to put this in my discard pile. I don't want this to taint my next hand and make it weaker, because I put 2 strong attack cards there. So I'm going to put that in my discard pile. End of my turn, I then get to recruit from the Riverway Sovereignty. That is me. Over to you. Actually, that's not me. I can also cull a card from my hand or discard pile, because I have the Black Gulag. And you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to get rid of the Steadfast Conscript. That's a starter card. It's gone, culled. It gets me a point, or it gets me a point of cruelty,
Right.
but I'm at the end of the track. That gets me 1 influence.
Okay.
That is me. Over to you.
Perfect. So I think the first thing I will start off by doing is I'm actually going to promote this card.
Okay.
So it requires 2 build. However, with my discount, it's going to cost me 1 build and go to the on top of
1
my
labor.
1 labor, excuse me, and then on top of my deck. So let us do. Oh yeah, that's right. So we're going to use this to do so. So what are we turning into here? A Sigil-born Monk, and that is coming from
the Sigil-born.
Correctamundo. That's going to go here.
So I'm just going to show that. So again, the yellow faction, or the Sigil-born, here's another example how they are much better suited towards building. It has 4 labor and 2 strength with a plus, so it can be stronger, and that'll be stronger when it's defending. So it's much better suited for the build track, the going more merciful.
And that will go on top of my deck as per my Imperial Council.
Absolutely.
Just want to see if there's anything in my deck specifically. No, it's more what's in my hand currently. So then I have the Cathedral Builder. And I will also promote this card to a Cathedral Mason, and it's going to require 1 build because of my discount. Okay, so we're going to play that. So this now becomes the Cathedral Mason.
Okay. No, that's not in here. That was yellow.
Yellow, yep.
And that's it right there.
Perfect, thank you. That's also going to go on the top of my deck.
And even if you're not going to be using the cards necessarily for your actions as much as others, every promotion is still going to be worth points.
Absolutely.
So that first tier, it will be worth 1 point each card. And once you get to the second tier, it's worth 4 points. Plus, once you get to the bottom track of all of these buildings, the level 4 buildings are all worth endgame points that can also be influenced by the number of promotions you've done throughout the game.
Okay, and then from my discard, make sure I have the right things here. Right. I'm going to promote the Devout Granger.
Yep.
And to the Devout Scribe using my build. Again, a bit of a discount. Thank you. Goes to the top of my deck. This goes back to the Realm Hallowed Vale. That is correct.
And that was 3 promotions.
Yes,
I'm going
it
to
is.
give you 3 mercy.
Beautiful. Woo! So that ends that for my turn. So I've played out all my cards. So this will be discarded. And I will, in fact, move to here. And that will allow me to recruit.
And get you 1 more mercy.
Okay. And that will be the end of my turn.
So we're on to round 8, which is end of year 2. So after this round, we'll have another end of year scoring. Start of my turn, I'm going to do something that I kept forgetting to do because I've been doing so much explaining, is I actually get an ally. I could have grabbed one of those allies quite a few rounds ago because the Village Elder. So the Village Elder is control at least 2 village provinces, which I do control with these 2 here. So I get this Elder. The bonus on the card, so it is worth 2 points at the end of the game. The bonus is when I defend, the village provinces that I control gain +1 defense. Wanted to do that before I forgot yet again. Now, I see you making a move. Funny enough, that is where I was going to make a move.
Please.
So I will. So I'm going to come into this province as well. This is still too strong, so that was my next goal. But also, I know why you want it, because if you control a realm, so if Mandi was to get that, she would control the Wood Nation's realm, and that would be worth an additional 8 points at the end of this round because we have scoring. So I'm going to try and get it first. And I'm going to try and do it. Let's see here. It has a defense of 10. All right, and I'm going to use these 4 cards.
All right.
Keeping this one. So with the 4 cards that I'm playing, my highest strength card is the Eye of Zerd. That has 4 strength. That means I get 4 dice. That leaves me with 3, 5, 6 strength. Going up against 10.
You can do it.
Boy. Which may be tough, but let's see.
That's doable.
The bonus is, I do have my Great Keep. That's 1 reroll of 1 die. But the Eye of Zerd says I may reroll 1 of my dice for every 4 cruelty. So now I can reroll 3 dice with this. And it is, as I said, just a one-time action. So what did I say? 3, 5, 6 against 10. I need 4.
You'll be fine.
I am not fine. That is 1.
But you've got some rerolls.
Yes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I will use the Eye of Zerd, reroll 3 dice. Now that would have been great if I had your ability. Which one was it?
It's the Castle Barracks.
+2 for each blank. I rolled 2 blanks there. That would have been great. But I don't have that, so I will take the reroll. There we go.
Got it.
3, 6, 8, 9. That is more than enough. So I still have 1 reroll with my Great Keep. I'm going to try and get rid of that ruin that is sitting there on that die. Nope, still a ruin.
It's not so bad.
Okay, so 1 ruin, that comes off. I do claim that. For the Conquer, I get 2 cards from the Woodland Nations, but the ability on that Blood Axe, as I was showing earlier, is I can cull any cards that I've recruited from this action. And I will cull the Cathedral Builder, because again, that yellow faction, the Sigilborn, I don't really care for that faction for the style of play that I'm taking this playthrough. So that will go back to the bottom of the Woodland Nation.
Yes.
And I get 1 cruelty for it, but again, I'm maxed on the track, so it gets me a point. However, that Numerai Wanderer, I will happily hold on to that.
I would think so.
And I'm left with 1 card that I think I'm going to hold. And there's a reason for that, but we'll see if the reason becomes important. I can still cull a card using my black gulag, but I've only got one card in my discard, one card in my hand. I don't want to get rid of either of those. So these will go away. I will take, actually, before I do that, I'm going to move. I'm going to move back to Draken. I'll recruit one from there for the end of my turn. That is me.
Okay, so I shall... Now I could at this point attack if I so choose. Do I want to is the question.
So if Mandi was to try and take that back so that she has the realm controlled for the end of year scoring, that would then be trying to conquer a controlled territory, and it does play out a little differently. We will guaranteed have at least one of those before the end of the game, so we can show you how it works.
Well, I'm just determining if I want to do that now.
Okay.
And okay, yeah, that's doable. Okay, so you know what? Okay, there's a question for you here.
Sure.
Did you move into the wood place before he moved into the river?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Which means I would not be able to move back out because you only get one move action. Thank you.
Yep.
That was
Michael?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's back that up. I would not have been able to recruit that last card, which was the Halex Retainer. Yep. So we'll put that back in the Riverway Sovereignty deck.
Sure. Just put
And
that
I'll take one from the Woodland Nations instead. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's do some battles. Whether I win or lose, well, we'll find out soon enough.
Okay. So you're going to conquer a controlled territory.
I'm debating if I should do this. Hey, before you turn your cards.
Yep.
Let me just see if that's my best interest at the moment.
Yep.
If I lose, I'm really out because I have a couple things I would like to do, but it also prevents you from getting points if I win.
So here's the timing on this is one of the key points. I'm not going to try and influence Mandi either way because I know what's in my hand. So I don't want to you know, I don't want to mislead Mandi. But if Mandi is able to take control of this territory, that would give her control of the realm, which would get another 8 points on top of the 9 points that are sitting there, minus any ruin that would happen. If you don't, then I get the 9 points. I still don't have control of any realms, but if you can take it, it's the additional 8 points that you'd be looking at. So that's kind of what Mandi's trying to consider right now, is it worth the risk?
And I got some really good cards there.
Okay.
As in, I have a couple of options is where I'm going.
Yep.
So you know what? Let's just do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So when you're conquering a controlled province, the defender does get to play as well, as I was saying, with any cards that have the shield icon on it. So the first thing is the attacker has to choose and announce how many cards, not showing the cards, just announcing how many cards they're going to use. So you would put your cards on the table saying how many you're using.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
All of them. Okay.
All of the above!
Now, I get to decide how many cards I wish to defend with, but again, they need to have that shield icon. And this is the card I held back just in case this happens. So this is my Steadfast Captain, which is great for defense. And because I anticipated this move, I held that back just in case I needed it to defend. So I am going to use 2 cards to defend. So once we've both announced, well, first thing is, I announce how many cards I'm using to defend. I put those face down on the table. I then draw back up that same number. So you're not left short-handed for your next turn. So I do draw 2 back up. Now we reveal how much, or how, we reveal the cards we're playing.
So I didn't have ideally great cards hand for attack. It was more for build.
Okay.
But I had to do something here.
Yep.
So
if you get it, it's going to be a nice point swing.
If I get it.
So it still works out the same way, where the highest number for both sides is the number of dice that they're going to get to roll. So your highest is 3.
Correct.
What is that's just for defense?
No, defense only. These are all
so
defense.
3 dice and a strength of 2, 4, 6. With my Steadfast Captain, this is the one that says when I defend, I get to choose a card in my discard pile with a defense icon. Oh, and there are none. That's unfortunate. Let's say hypothetically there was. It states that I get to choose a card that has a defense icon. So let's pretend that this Bloodhammer has a defense icon. it has a strength of 2, I would get to add that value to my steadfast captain. So instead of 4, it would be 6. As it is, though, it's still a 4, which is not bad.
Still good.
So I get 4 dice. And my starting defense is 3 with my tactician, plus the defense of the actual province I'm trying to defend. So I'm at 12 plus whatever I roll.
Right.
So then we would both roll simultaneously.
Mine tend to go all over the place, though, like you do yours.
Yep.
Yeah, like that. It's not great for me.
But we still have re-rolls.
Oh, actually.
Yeah, that's a
That's
2.
two.
So any blanks for Mandi are going to be a 2. Now, you do have 1 re-roll.
I do have 1 reroll that I can use.
The attacker then decides any re-rolls they wish to do first and figure out their final total, and then the defender gets to choose any re-rolls after that.
So might as well get that sorted. Which didn't do a darn thing.
Okay. So then I decide if I'm going to do any re-rolls. Well, I have enough defense, right? I'm at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16 against 2, 4, 6, 7. So it's definitely more than enough. And I'm not going to choose to be mean. Because any ruin still plays a factor on both sides. So the first thing is the attacking side, it will not be a successful conquer. We know that. We then look at the attacking side. 1 ruin does still take 1 away from that province. And I probably won't be able to find it. Doesn't. There's 1 just to make me happy. Okay.
There we go.
So it's down to 8. But then the defender also triggers any ruin. So right now I have 2 ruin. That means of the cards that Mandi played, she must cull cards with a strength value equal to that or higher. So that's where I was saying if I wanted to be mean, I could re-roll 1 of these blanks and try and get some more ruin out of it. But I'm not going to do that. So 2 strength or higher cards must be culled.
So these are going to go bye-bye.
Oh, don't get rid of your Numerai Wanderer.
There are plans here.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And this is the only time, like I was saying earlier, there's 1 exception to every card culled is 1 cruelty. This is that exception. It doesn't matter which side you're on. You can cull, well, you must cull those cards. You don't gain the cruelty for it.
And that's a starter card.
That was just a...
Oh, was it a starter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Realm.
Realm,
The
thank you.
woodland
Oh, yes,
nations.
woodland.
Yep.
Yes. All right.
So that is how conquering
Yes.
a controlled province works.
So that wasn't successful.
Nope.
Goes away.
Now, I also burnt some of my really strong cards for that. Those were cards I was hoping to play in my next turn, but I had to spend them to try and defend that territory. Okay, did you recruit?
So now I need to recruit. Where am I? In the green. 1 and a 2.
Which will get you another mercy.
Oh, it's not so bad. Okay.
And now we're into our end of year scoring again. So before we trigger our end of year scoring, you have an ability, the Blessed Academy.
So I get to add, not to this one, because I
No,
think it's
that
at its
one's
max,
already maxed, but
this
you do
one,
get to add 1 there.
Yep.
So the Blessed Academy is end of year scoring phase begins, add 1 defense to each province you control. So we did add 1 there. This one is at its max, which is its starting 7.
Right.
I do not have that, so I don't get to trigger it. I have nothing else, so we go into scoring. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 puts you at 23. And then 3, 6, 7, 8. 7 is 15, 7 is 22, and 9 is 31.
Plus
would be
your bonus.
61. It's going to cover this first.
Yep.
61. So once you've done the individual provinces, then you look at any realms that you control, and I don't think I do. No, I have 1 from each realm. I don't actually have 2 from a single one. If you took it, you would control
Okay, that's right. I thought you
so
did for some
yeah,
reason.
I don't get
you're
any
good.
bonus.
My apologies. Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
There
All
we
right.
go.
And round 9. Starting with myself. Right. Okay. Yes, I have a weaker hand now. No, that's not strong enough for that. 7, 2, 4. No good. 3, 6. Let's see what I have to promote in here.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
I'm going to promote one of the Numerai Wanderers because we haven't done that yet. So this again, these are the Wanderers that I was mentioning earlier that don't belong to any particular faction. They require 6 upgrade of labor and or strength. So you can use a mixture as well. So I need to get a total of 6. I do not have the discount. So there. 2 Fists of Zerd are going to upgrade my Numerai, promote my Numerai Wanderer. He goes back to the Woodland Nations realm deck, please.
All right.
And then that's where I just take one off the top of the deck. And these ones are all different. They have their own unique abilities. With the promotion, I do get 1 more cruelty, which gets me 1 more point. And in case anybody's wondering, the red cube here, there's a 50 spot. So the track goes up to 49. Once you hit 50, you drop 1 of your extra cubes there. Keep on going. Okay, you'll get to see this next hand, so I'll show you what it does. But in the meantime, with my Imperial Council, that is a promoted card. It gets to go on top of my deck. What else do I have here? Okay, next up I will promote a Harbor Trader. So the Harbor Traders, similar symbol at the bottom as the Numerai Wanderers, where it is a mixture. So that is 3 labor and or strength to upgrade. So I need a total of 3 and 2, 3. And that will get me a Harbor Corsair. This goes to the bottom of Riverway Sovereignty, please.
Yes, perfect.
Harbor Corsair, and again gets to go on top of my deck. And with the upgrade, another point. Lastly, I have 1 card left. With 1 strength, I'm going to cull a card from my discard pile. And it will be one of those Outland Beggars where if I cull it, I gain an additional cruelty. Now, the ability on that is also if you promote it, you gain 1 mercy. And it would be nice to promote, but I don't want the mercy. I'd rather get the cruelty. So this is going to go to the bottom of the Woodland Nations deck, please. Getting me 2 more cruelty, which does translate to 2 more points. That is my turn. I can use my Black Gulag to cull 1 more, but I'm actually happy with my deck right now. So I will move, because I can now. I did not this turn, and then I will recruit from the Riverway Sovereignty.
Okay.
That is me.
Okay, so we're going to keep this pretty straightforward. I think what I shall do is I'm going to build Sigilborn Pilgrim Sanctum. So I'm actually going to pay a victory point.
Yep.
And then this card now belongs to any faction, because I don't have anything from Sigilborn.
So that is the ability on the, this is the guild hand. And it's only if you're taking the build action, then that's really the only time you'd need it. You can pay 1 influence and it becomes any faction. So you can build from any of those tech trees.
So it's for a total of 7.
Yep.
And it costs 7 with my discount. So when another player attempts to conquer a province you control, choose a card in your hand to gain defense.
Nice. And that's where the merciful side does get better at defense. You basically need to be running merciful to be able to get that, advance that far on the Sigilborn track, and that helps with your defense because you can pick any card in your discard to then say, okay, this is now a defense card.
So I took 2 cards, or recruited.
So 1 more mercy.
And I will, that's it. So I'm
Good.
gonna draw my turn.
All right, so we're up to round 10.
2, 3, 5.
We're down to the last 3 rounds.
I know.
Oof. Last 3 rounds, okay. I was planning on building this round, but you know what? Oh, if I miss though, that's a big swing and a miss.
You can attempt to.
I was thinking of it. Oh
That's
boy.
huge.
Or. Ugh.
Or.
Well, that would just, oh boy. 5, 10, 12, 14, 15. One reroll. Oh.
You can do it.
I'm going to try it.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to try it. Okay. I'm going to try and conquer Draken, which currently has a defense of 16. Now, the only thing that's giving me the courage, quote unquote, to do this is the Harbor Corsair, which has a strength of 2 with a plus symbol because of the ability at the bottom. And it's a conquer ability, and that's what I'm trying to do. If your current province is a port, which it is, this game card's plus 3 strength. So that is now a 5, which means I get 5 dice to roll. And I'm playing everything else. So I also have my upgraded Numerai Wanderer, which is now a War Speaker. There's the War Speaker. Also has 5 strength and has a Cruel Conquer ability on it. In this case, any cards that I recruit from this Conquer action, so I need to be successful, get to go straight into my hand, which would be nice. I don't think the odds are great. So 5, 7, 9, 10. The Horde Marauder has the ability that when I play it, I can inflict 1 ruin on my current province, or if I have 6 or more cruelty, I can actually inflict 2. So I'm going to try and make it a little easier on myself. I'm going to inflict that 2 ruin right away. So now instead of 16, it's down to 14.
Okay, it's doable.
Doable, but I'm only at 5, 7, 9, 10. All right, so I need to roll 4, and I only have a single die reroll.
You've been rolling fairly well, so.
Oh no, that's only 2. Okay, well, I will reroll 1. I only have the 1 reroll, right? No matter how many times I look. Blank, nothing. Oh no. Okay, so that's a whiff. That's a miss. But 2 ruin does take it down, which makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
But it also makes it a little easier for everybody else. So if Mandi wanted to, she could come in here and try and take that before I did.
Yikes.
All right, no other abilities there. Oh, that was so close and yet not at all. I will recruit 1 from the Riverway Sovereignty. That is my wasted turn.
Oh, that's okay, because my turn's not looking that great either, to be honest. Okay, so I'm going to build at this point. So I'm going to be building the Royal Archive, which is going to increase my hand size.
Okay.
So 4, 6, and 7. Okay. And so there we go.
And that is nice. The Royal Archive, as Mandi said, is increasing your hand size. So now instead of drawing 5, she gets to draw 6 cards. If you can build to get that early.
Yeah, which is
great.
normally what I do, but I did it so late this game. I don't know what I was thinking.
And that's what I was actually planning on doing as well. But yeah, we've only got a few turns left.
Yeah, this I have to say is not my best showing this evening. So I don't know. I tried something different. It didn't really pan out the way I would have liked.
You're still looking good for building the end of tracks,
which is what we're trying to work on here.
So again, the side of Merciful is more about the long-term end game strategy. You're going to see where Mandi's going to be scoring a lot more points at the end of the game than I will.
All right, let's see. What do I want to do?
If I score any, oh no.
Well, I don't know. It's looking rough right now for me at the moment. So. Okay, so I'm going to.
No, not looking rough for you at the end of the game. Looking rough for me.
This is not great. All right, so I'm going to promote the Sigilborn Convert using the Steadfast Conscript.
Yep.
Okay, so it requires 2 build, but with my discount 1.
Yep.
So that's going to go become the Sigilborn Monk. That, thank you, will go on the top of my deck. And this is the other card I have to play, which I will use as to promote someone else from my discard. So she's got a 2 build, potentially a 1 sword. Okay, and I think I will use her to upgrade a steadfast conscript.
Okay.
Okay, 1. So that goes to here. Steadfast guard is what we're going to be getting out of that. Yep. Thank you. That should go here. And that is the end of my very, very sad turn.
And you did promote 2 cards. You're already at maximum on the track, so that gets you 2 points.
And then where am I? So I will also recruit.
Yes.
Which is also going to give me another point.
Yes.
And that's not bad.
And we're into the second last round. Oh, it goes so quickly. It goes so quickly.
I'm like, oh, well, I didn't get to do half the things I wanted to do, but it is what it is. And I will play this much better this time. Okay, this is a much better situation than what was going on previously. Okay, now we're talking.
I wanted to show the siege beasts, but yeah, I'm not going to get there. This game is playing out completely differently from the last time I tried to do this track. Wow, okay.
What's happening?
Do I do that? If I do that, 5, 6, and then I need 8. So my hand right now, what I'd like to be doing is getting control of that. I've weakened that province, but if you look at my hand right now, and this is why with the strategy I'm taking, I actually don't want those yellow cards in my deck because they're all about labor as opposed to strength. So this is not a very good attacking hand. So that's pretty much going to dictate what my turn is going to be. Since I have those labor cards in my hand, I might as well make use of them and see if I can get to the end of the track. Because as I was saying earlier, the level 4 or the bottom building on each track is about endgame points. And Mandi's 1 away from each of those 3 that she's been building. So that'll be great for endgame. I'm not close to any. I'm going to try and get to the bottom of that one then. So the first level, level 2, because I'm already at level 1. So the next level will cost me 4, 3, and because it is Hordes of Zerd, I need at least 1 Hordes of Zerd card. So that's 4. That gets me there. The next one will be 5. So 3 and 2 is 5. That gets me to the siege beasts. But I only have 1 more turn after this. Ugh.
This is where it's like, oh, for goodness sake.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. So the blood camp, I'll let you know what these buildings do. The blood camp, at the beginning of your end phase, you may inflict 1 ruin on your current province, which means I could, if I wanted to, tick this down 1 more to try and make it easier. Or I could even move into Mandi's province and take 1 away from that. So I could just walk around and take ruin, take points away from provinces.
And yes, you have the reduced cost for build, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Reduced cost for build, and this is the only track that is actually natively a little cheaper than all the rest.
It is. Yeah.
So I'm on Siege Beasts. I don't know if you can see that. All other tracks are 4, 6, 8, 10. But if you look at Hordes of Zerd, it's 4, 5, 6, and 8. So it only cost me 4 to get to that second level and 5 to get to the third level. Leaves me with 1 card that will not do me any good right now, nor will it do me any good on my next turn. So I'm just going to discard it. I will recruit 1. No, I'm going to move here because I can, and inflict 1 ruin because I can, and I'm playing cruel, so I might as well play it properly.
Yes, go nuts.
Discard that. This is gone, which does now mean I recruit from that faction instead. And Siege Beasts, actually, yes. So I'll keep explaining the other buildings that I built. Siege Beasts is while conquering, I may treat ruin on my dice as strength instead. And that is huge when you're trying to attack because one, not only is it more attack, but two, if you're successful, you do not have to inflict any of the ruin on the defense of the province, which means you get to keep those points. That's me.
All right, well, we'll continue the trend of building. So I will spend 9 to build.
You have a 6-card hand?
Yes, that is correct. Yep. Yes.
Good.
So
because
I will
the building that Mandi built gets her that 1 extra.
build a sovereign shrine. At the end of the game, gain 1 victory point for every cruelty or mercy you have.
Yep.
That's going to cost me 9, which I've spent.
Very
here.
good.
And then, let's see what I want to do with these cards. So, I've got a lot of stuff happening here. All right, so let's go through the deck here, shall we?
So, Mandi was saying, let's see here, you built the
Sovereign Shrine.
Sovereign Shrine, yeah. End of the game, 1 for every cruelty or mercy. So, like I was saying, the last building in each track is the one that is going to get you points at the end of the game. So right there, that's 12 points just for building that. You don't want to get them too early because they don't give you any benefit during the game, but that's where it's the long-term planning if you're going the route of Merciful, because you have to make sure you have enough turns left to actually build all of those last ones.
So I'm going to promote my Sigilborn Monk, which is going to cost me 6 bill, but with my discount, it's going to cost me 5.
Very good, and that gets you one of the top tier.
Sigilborn Ascended.
Which will also be worth 4 points at the end of the game.
And this was an actual upgrade from previous. So, all right, so that's going to go to the top of my deck.
And with that promotion, you get another point.
Thank you.
Very good.
And then I'm also going to upgrade. Promote. I didn't keep saying upgrade now. I feel like I've been hearing it. Devout Granger is going to become a Devout Scribe. I need 2 labor.
Yep.
I have 1 here with my discount.
With the discount, yep.
So that's going to...
A Devout Scribe, you say?
That is correct. Go to my Woodland stick. Thank you.
Welcome.
That goes to the top of my deck, and that will be the end of my turn.
And you can recruit 2 from the Woodland Nations.
It doesn't hurt at this point.
It gets you a point.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, gets you a point. That's the other thing you're going to find is that the deck the deck on the side of Cruelty is going to be nice and thin, whereas the deck on the side of Mercy is just thick because you don't want to cull cards on Mercy because you'd end up taking cruel points for it. Okay, but it's great for promoting because you have all kinds of cards to promote. Well, so here we are.
Oh dear.
Here we are. So I showed you my last hand and how it was not suited to conquering. There's my current hand. A little more suited to conquering. Now, that kind of goes against what I wanted to do here was build that last monument to Zerd, the end of the track. It would only cost me 7 labor, but at the end of the game I gain 4 influence for each realm in which I control a province, and right now I control all 4 provinces, all 4 realms. I control a province in all 4 realms. There we go. Words are hard. That would mean that's 16 points if I do that. But if I take control of that,
thinking about it.
That would get me 12 points plus the fun of conquering something that isn't mine.
Sure. Why not?
So I think that pretty much says what I need to do.
All right.
And thus I will. Now it's just a matter of how many cards do I want to... Oh, right, but you get to defend because that's yours. Oh, so that's the tricky part, right? When you're going up against a controlled province, there's the unknown of how many cards will they get to use to defend. And I said earlier that if you're going the route of Merciful, you tend to have more defense cards than the route of Cruelty. Plus, Mandi's got a hand size of 6. So that's 1 extra card that could potentially be a defense card. And she has the Pilgrim's Sanctum that also lets her pick a card, any card, from her discard pile and give it a shield. and be a defense. I think I'm talking myself out of this.
Are you?
Yeah, wow. 6, 9, 12, 14. Uno momento, por favor.
Decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually did a lot of things differently this last game. Even my build, I was close to done by now, and feel like, oh my goodness, I'm struggling to get that last one. Yeah, definitely did not play out as well as I would have liked.
Yeah. So my original plan was build that last building in Hordes of Zerd. That's a guaranteed 16 points, but as you can see, there's no build there. I can't even make up the 7 that I need to build. So this deck is telling me I need to attack. So the question is, I'm not going to attack here. I think I'm going to go for one of the strongholds. And
That's cool.
do I go for the easier or do I go for more points? 12. It's an extra 4 points. I might be able to get there because I have siege beasts. Oh, I'll go for the sure thing. So I'm going to move to Draken.
They believe in you.
I'm going to run screaming. Okay. And I'll go for that one instead. So that has a defense of 12. I'm going to play Tactician, Fist of Zerd, Fist of Zerd. That's 9. And a Blood Axe would be 12. Getting 3 dice. Only 1 reroll. Oh, let's make sure. I'll play them all. I'm sorry for the wait. I'm going to play them all. I want to make sure I get this. So I get my strongest card is 3 at strength. So I get 3 dice. Then I have 3, 6, 9, 11. So I only need 1 on here. And any ruin I roll can be attack strength instead of ruin, which means I won't lose anything even if I roll ruin. They are not all blanks, and wow, that is... So normally that would only be 1 strength and 3 ruin, but because of my siege beasts, that is now 4 strength, no ruin. So that is a success. I'm happy with that. I don't lose any points. I will stick a flag in it. I then recruit 2 cards from the Riverway Sovereignty for the successful conquer.
Yay.
However, with my... Which was it? Here we go. With my Blood Axe, I may call any cards that I recruit this action. These cards, this is my last turn, are going to do me absolutely no good. No matter where they go, they're not worth any points at the end of the game. So I'm just going to turn around and say, nope, I'm culling both of those. So they go back to the bottom of the deck, and that gets me 2 more points. Plus, that card, the Horde Marauder, lets me inflict ruin on a province that I'm in, but obviously I don't want to do that because I control it. That is it. I then recruit 1 from there. That is not quite it. I will also trigger my Black Gulag, which lets me call a card from my hand or discard pile, and I'll just get rid of this. Bottom of the Woodland Nations, please. And that gets me 1 more point. Okay. I also... Because I now control the Riverway Sovereignty realm, I control both provinces. That gets me the Magister of Guilds, which at the beginning of my end phase, which is now, I gain 1 influence as well. Okay. And I am done.
I'm debating.
So that was my last turn. I still draw up, though. You don't want to go dismantling your deck and starting to count your points too early, because if somebody does try to conquer one of the provinces you control, you still need a hand to be able to defend yourself.
All right, so let's build. Yeah, I think we're going to have to... Oh, well, if that happens... Yeah, okay. So we're going to build the Exalted Domain, and that is going to, if I can find the card of my dreams, there it is. It's a 5
Very nice.
Oh,
Yeah, that's one of those top tier cards that has the yellow text box.
yes. Actually, I did that wrong. Sorry. So there we go. 8 and 9. So a total of 9 because of my discount.
Yep.
So at the end of the game, gain 1 victory point for each card in your hand. Deck or discard worth 1 or more victory point.
Which is great for the upgrade or promotion strategy because you'll have a lot of cards that are already promoted.
Exactly. So now, with that being said, I shall do some promoting. Because at this point, I don't have a strong enough hand to do any type of attacking or anything like that, unfortunately, which is odd for me that I usually make all of these, but I did things a little late this game. So let us see what we can do here. Okay. All right, so what do we've got to spend here?
Yes. Oh man, if you didn't get to convert ruin, that would have been awful. Exactly. And that's where, if you're going the cruel route or a heavy attack strategy, trying to get those siege beasts early is very nice because it makes you stronger, but also allows you to avoid having to inflict ruin on something that you have conquered. Now, if I didn't conquer that and I still had more turns, maybe I would have actually wanted to take the ruin just to make it easier on my next turn. But in this case, I took control of it. I wouldn't want to inflict all of that ruin on it because that would be fewer points. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm going to promote the devout ranger to the devout scribe using my trusted follower.
Okay.
So that's going to happen.
Devout scribe.
Thank you. Actually, that's promoted, so technically it goes here.
That one's gone.
And then...
And I will give you a point for that.
Thank you.
Welcome. Hey, Jobby.
Let's see if I have any fun cards to promote here. Oh, here we do. So I'm going to promote the New Wanderer.
Yep.
For a total of 5.
Very good.
Okay, and that becomes the legendary numeri.
Yep. So again, legendary numeri are just random off the top of this deck.
Where were you?
And always have very exciting abilities. It's nice to get those if you can because they're expensive, but they have very unique and strong abilities and strong stats.
Is the end of my turn.
Okay. And then recruiting, I'm assuming 2 from there.
Sure. Get me some extra pointage.
Yep, so that gets you 1 more point. And I will give you 1 for that last promotion as well. So up there. Okay. So that is the end. So first we do end of year scoring because it is still an end of year. So first thing is we're looking at provinces that you control. So we've got 5 and 7 will be 12. 41.
Oh, did we add 1 to the to this one?
I'll put that back. 12
That's
was
okay.
29. Yep. So Mandi does have the end of year scoring ability that adds 1 defense to each province you control. So that will be
that one's at the max. So
like that. Thank you. Okay. Now we'll do the end of year scoring. So 6 and 7 is 13, which would be 42. 39, 41, 42, 43, 43. 43 is 62.
And then you need one of your little doohickeys.
Yep. And then I do control the Riverway Sovereignty realm, so that's another 12 points for having both provinces in the realm. Is 24. So that's the end of year scoring. Now we actually go to the end of game scoring. So the first thing is you're going to want all cards that have the influence value on the bottom right, which is basically all of the promoted cards within your deck.
This is going to be, wow, I've got a massive deck here.
I do not. Just to give you an idea. There's my final deck size.
All right.
And I'm just going to grab these for a second just to compare. Guess whose is whose? And he's got about double the size of a deck there.
Yes.
So I'm about culling mine, trying to make it a little stronger, but also I wasn't promoting anywhere near as many as Mandi was. So we're looking at the total value of those cards. I've got a whopping 11. 35.
14.
40 is 54. Grabbing one of your cubes.
And then
All right. Next up is all of the allies that you've earned. So I've got 2 allies.
That's
That
gonna
gets
be
me
you.
4 points. Then we've got an influence for each structure that you have built. So just looking at the board, just each individual building. So in the common folk, that's 1. That's 1. So this is where Mandi will score a bit more than I will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got
including or up to?
7
I don't
is
remember. That's part I always forget.
4. Yeah,
It's
'cause
including.
You've
1,
built
2,
it.
3,
Yeah.
4,
Everything
5,
you've built.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yep. 11, 15. And then finally we get bonuses for the level 4 structures. So that's where you're looking at those last buildings, of which I have none. I did not build anywhere near enough. So the first one that Mandi's looking at is your common folk, the Sovereign's Shrine. At the end of the game, 1 influence for every cruelty or mercy. That's 12 points.
Yep.
There's 27. Next is your common folk. Sorry, you're looking at your Sigilborn.
Exalted Domain.
Exalted Domain. Okay, so end of the game, 1 influence for each card in your hand, deck, or discard, worth 1 or more influence. So any promoted cards are now worth an additional point each.
So 9.
9.
And I usually
So
do this one,
36.
but I didn't get to it this round.
Oh, you didn't get to that
No,
one.
I didn't have
it's
enough.
okay.
I was too
so
short.
If Mandi did get there and build that
Another
last one, the
15
Cathedral
points.
of Scars is 5 influence for each level 4 structure. So if she had gotten there, that would have been 3 level 4 structures for another 15 points. And there you go.
Yeah, so
So-
I did not play well this game at all.
146 to 86. 86, yeah.
Yeah. So this is my poorest showing, I must say.
There you go. That is Path of Light and Shadow.
Yeah, so there has been talk about playing Merciful being, it's the strategy that tends not to win. It's one that is harder to figure out. I think once you figure it out, there's definitely that chance of having a closer match. In the beginning, it's hard. I won't lie, as you can see right here. So if I don't make the right moves, I can trail behind. So for example, when I attacked, I should have built. I had the perfect hand to build. That's what I should have done. But instead I've now wasted a turn doing an attack, and that kind of caused me to pull back and, in essence, losing me 15 points. So things like that you just have to be cognizant of and not rush to attack, especially if you don't have the hand to do it. So you just have to be a bit more strategic in that regard.
And it's also going to come down to playstyle. Like somebody was mentioning, it was earlier on in the first half of the stream, that all of their games, it was the Merciful track that had won. And I think it does come down to just playstyle as well. So
Right.
you almost have to let your hand dictate what is strongest for that turn. My second last turn, I wanted to attack, but it was way too weak to even try it. So I let my hand dictate, okay, what is best for this hand? It was build the next 2 levels.
Right.
And then my last turn, I wanted to build that 4th level, but it was best for attack. So, okay, well, I'm going to go in and attack then. And that's just how I had built my deck, right? I did let some of those Sigilborn seep into my deck, which is where I had that one hand that said, no, you're going to build this hand. Whereas if I had culled those a little quicker, I might have been able to just attack the whole time. But yeah, it comes down to building the deck to get into the flow of the style of game you wish to play.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I enjoyed the game regardless. I mean, I shouldn't say I'm not one to attack, because actually I can, depending on the type of game. But it's one type of game that I'd be willing to try both strategies. It's comfortable in doing so. I know you've played with other people.
Yep.
This game, I'm not sure which strategy they chose, but
When
did
we
they try
played
both?
in 4-player, I think we actually split. We just naturally split into 2 on either side.
Right.
We had 2 cruel and 2 merciful, I believe, in all of our plays at 4-player. That just happened to go that way. And I've played both sides myself, and I love both sides. There's definitely a different strategy. So I'll give you an example. when I taught it a couple weekends ago, there was one player that played Merciful and did quite well. The game, we were all within about 20 points. It was like in the range of 180 to 200 type thing were the scores. So a close game. There was no overwhelming win.
Right.
And that same player then tried to switch to the other track, but didn't really switch their play style and could not keep up. Could not keep up at all. So you need to pick a strategy and commit to it. Go all in on that strategy, and that's where the bonuses start to pile up. Yeah.
This board appeals to me. I like the buildings, the benefits. Just timing it right is really important. Like I said, usually I've actually built these all at a certain point. I was a little late doing it, and I think that hindered me in my strategy. But I actually like this part of the game. I don't know. I like Euro games, so I'm all about worker placement, building, all that fun stuff. But it appeals to me because I'm not going to say it, but I had a thing with deck builders and how I felt about them. But they're progressing, and I like the fact that it's mixed with other things like area control and things like that. So I like a mix of elements within a game, and I think this does it very well.
Yeah, agreed. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I love the tech tree for your buildings. I love the tech tree for upgrading or promoting all of your characters here, and just even the flavor of it, where you're going to specific provinces to try and find the various factions that you want to get into your deck. So there's ways that you can manipulate even those starting cards that come into your deck.
So Caffeinated Canuck, just curious, is there a player count in which you prefer to play this game? It's playable at all counts, but I'm thinking 3 to 4 players is probably the sweet spot for this game, in my opinion. And I know
I've even loved it too.
And I know other people online are saying 3 and 4 as well.
Yep. No, on the 2-player side of the board, it still plays very well at 2.
Yeah.
No, I've enjoyed it.
2 is great too.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
I've enjoyed it.
2 is great as well,
counts,
but you really see your mistakes with 2. I find there's no covering up there. So
nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide. So Jobby, sorry, I saw that. Thank you so much for joining us, and you have an awesome week as well. But yeah, so overall, I think it was great. And like I said, some people who are not generally players who attack, I don't think you're going to find it. I personally don't find it aggressive. I mean, sometimes it's just a necessity. I'm moving in here. Okay, well, I want to get points. I'm going to attack you. It doesn't come off as aggressive, in my opinion. But
no, and if it's somebody that's there are some players that get really not necessarily offended, but if somebody is attacking them, they can take it personally. I know there are players like that, and I'm aware of which games I should and shouldn't play around them. But in this one, it can happen. If there is somebody that's playing cruel and is just going around trying to conquer everything, they will come towards you. But that's where you just need to be aware that you can actually defend yourself. There are cards you can build towards to get that defense, and those are the unknowns that those attackers are going to go up against, right? I wasn't sure if I wanted to go against Mandi's, even though it was only a strength of 5 at the time. But there's the unknown of 6 cards in her hand that could all be defense cards, and then I just face plant right into it, and I've wasted a whole turn.
It was very wise,
actually. That actually backed me off.
That you didn't do it.
Yeah. So you don't have to attack. You can play the side of Merciful and just go for all of the upgrades and promotions. Yeah.
Rapunzel said to stop talking about her. You're talking about this whole strategy. So I don't know what happened in the game you all played, but...
No, actually, I know who she's thinking.
Is that for something else here?
Well, no, I think she's just pretending that it's about her, but I think she knows who I'm talking about. It wasn't Rapunzel, no.
Okay, just joking.
Rapunzel knows what she's doing.
But overall, I enjoyed the game. I know people are talking about the price tag. I mean, I always tell people, if you look at, for example, Deep Sea Adventure, that game costs $30 Canadian plus tax. That's expensive for just a tiny game.
Pocket-sized box. Yeah.
Can I tell you, I've played that game countless amount of times. I've made my money back and then some.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Versus sometimes I can buy a really inexpensive game, and I played it once or twice, and it kind of collects dust in the corner. I'm not saying
a really expensive game that has great value to it, but if you only play it once or twice, then
right. Yeah. So I think I look at it in that regard. If it's something that's exciting and it's fun, and you're going to play it, like, I mean, I've gotten lots of play out of this, it's worth it, but I understand the price range can be a little more expensive. I absolutely understand that. It really comes down to what your value is on it. And I understand if it's a game you haven't tried, yes, putting up that amount of money on it, it's a lot, so maybe you want to try it before you buy it sort of situation. Yeah. But I think that's how I analyze games.
Yep. For myself, I was hooked right on the first play. So if it is a game that would pique your interest and you get a chance to play it, you'll probably find that the first play will have you wanting a copy of it.
So I think that's it. So overall, we both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Definitely can play with a variety of player counts. You have two sides to work from, and I think it's great if you can't win on a certain side. It's like, okay, well, what can I do to change my strategy in order to potentially become a winner?
I think that's actually what really hooked me the first time.
Yes.
So the first couple plays I played as cruel because I understood it right away. There was no, what do I need to do, right? The first time I switched to the side of merciful, I didn't get it right away.
Right.
I didn't get it in that first play because I still had the mindset of being cruel, and I kind of had an idea of what I needed to do. I just didn't know how to get there. But that became the puzzle for me. It's like, okay, how can I make this a winning strategy? And I did within a couple plays. So you can win on both sides. Both are equally competitive. There isn't one side that is stronger than the other. There's just one side that takes more planning than the other.
Yeah. So, Belzari, yeah, I'm glad to hear that you agree. So, I'm not always good at games. As you can tell, I didn't have a very good showing here, but I still want to go, okay, what did I do that I can change and try for next time? I like the fact that I'm trying to figure it out. It makes your brain work. It's fun. Yeah. It's interesting.
It is one of those ones that you kind of want to, okay, let's go again.
Yeah, I need to go again.
I think I know what I did wrong. We need to go again because
exactly.
I want to do that a little differently.
Yeah. So there's a question here. Would you suggest it for people like me who had trouble getting new games to the table?
I think that would depend on who you're trying to get it to the table with.
Exactly.
And what the issue is with getting new games to the table. Now, in terms of learning curve, this one is very easy to get to the table. I've taught this to new people, and right away it's understood. You know, the strategy would take a little longer, and like we were saying, that was part of the enjoyment was, okay, I think I know what I did wrong there. Let's do it again so I can figure that out and do it correctly. But in terms of the rules, each action in and of itself, it's very easy. It's the player aid, player aids again. It gets you into the game quite quickly, and it even has suggestions. You know, on the other card, it has suggestions for on your first turn, try this. So then you figure, okay, what do I need to do that? And you do it. Now you've understood that action. So it breaks it down nicely. So I think it's easy to get to the table if you have the players that would be interested in playing it. That's the unknown there.
So another question by Michael. If I get frustrated easily, is this still a good game?
What frustrates you, I guess, would be the question to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Would you be frustrated by people attacking you, in which case you just have to defend well? I guess it comes down to what is it that would frustrate you. I don't think there's anything really frustrating in this game.
I could see from the standpoint if you are someone who is used to, and I don't mean this offensively, there are some people who generally like to win or are dominant players in the fact that they win when they play games or they're ahead. And if you are the first time playing this and potentially playing, let's just say, Merciful, you may not see the results right away. So it really depends. If you want to see that score head up right away, you want to see how your actions are being paid for, like in points, you might find it frustrating on this aspect doing the Merciful strategy. I'm not saying it's going to go that way for you necessarily, but something that could be frustrating. And again, it comes down to what frustrates you in a game. So I'm only speculating. I don't really know 100% what type of player you are or people you play with. So it would really depend.
Yep.
So, but, oh, hey, Gregorius. Oh, jumping in
Gregorius, there.
Nice. So late, it's okay. We're wrapping it up, but I just want to make sure we got all the questions answered. I think we did. Yeah, so I think we're good. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us. I had a really good time. The chat was fantastic this evening. So
always good to have the active chat.
Yes, everyone's looking out, so it's fantastic. And we had a great game. We enjoyed it. Looking forward to our next game. So the next game we are going to play will be Petrichor. So I know that was on Kickstarter, and it was originally by 8 Games, but I believe it's in North American distribution with a different person. It's escaping me right now. But we will be showing that.
I'm drawing a blank too.
It's right there. I'm so sorry. It's late, so my brain is not functioning. But we will have that information for you next time. So Petrichor, look for that. It's about, rain clouds and watering your plants. It's pretty nice to look at.
It's the smell you get after what's the description? Petrichor. It's an actual word. Petrichor is an actual word. It's the smell you get after a rainfall. I'm getting the exact description wrong. But it's that smell, like if you have a dry spell for a while and then you have that rainfall, it's that smell after a rainfall. That's what Petrichor is. And I thought that's kind of cool that they actually have the description in there too.
Yeah. So, someone from Portugal. Portugal.
Hello.
So, for those of you who don't know, I'm part Portuguese. So, hey. So Petrichor, for those of you who don't know, it was on Kickstarter, and it's the same. It's the same people that did Anachrony.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're familiar with Anachrony, we have Petrichor. It's not at the same level of Anachrony is quite a heavy game.
Tricarian as well.
Yes.
Ape Games did that.
Right. So it's Ape Games, but they have a different distributor in North America. But Petrichor is what we're going to be looking at for next time.
Cool.
All right. So I think. Oh, let's make sure we got all the questions. We did. So I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining us. So yes, we do these on the Dice Tower. I know some people didn't know that. I also try and talk about a little bit on the podcast with Suzanne, so I can kind of let you know what we've covered, and you can always come back to the channel and check it out. And I think that's it. If you have any requests for games, you can contact us at MichaelandMandiPlay@gmail.com. And we're definitely interested in, if we are able to get the games to play, we can definitely do a teach and play on that. So I think that's it. And
sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.